Tell us we're late.
Yeah, they will tell us later. All right, everybody. Hey, welcome to this Thursday night's episode of the Live Well here at Fish, North Georgia, episode 101. So glad you guys can join us tonight. Hey, we're going to change the talk about all the drama with forward-facing sonar, and we're going to bring back the OG of all fishing drama, whether to bed fish or not to bed fish. That's what everybody used to argue about before this forward-facing stuff became so popular. But we're going to talk about that tonight. And also, again, if you're into bed fishing or the spawn fishing, techniques and stuff on how to catch fish during the spawn. So appreciate you guys joining us tonight. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Click all the notification bells. And again, watch us on all our social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Did I miss anything over there, Tim?
I think you got it all.
Does that sound right?
Sounds good.
All right. So, guys, all right. So tonight, let's go ahead and take care of business with our sponsors first. Opsin fluorocarbon. Hey, you guys have been hearing me talk about it. Well, guess what? Somebody in this room has fished with it other than me. Kevin fished with it. And so, Kevin, what did you think about the Opsin fluorocarbon?
It worked great. I mean, I didn't catch anything with it. Wasn't fortunate enough, but it transmits the feel of the jig real well.
Yeah.
So I could feel the bottom. It was a good line.
You kind of said it reminded you of Cigar.
It reminds me of Cigar.
Yeah. So there you go. So
It's
again,
tough to break.
Tough to break. So good. Hey, listen. They're trying to break into this market. They're from California. We're bringing them out here, all these Highland reservoirs. Guys, check them out at optionusa.com. Hey, type in FNG, get 20% off, and hang around to about the middle of the show for a chance to win $50 off at Option USA with the question of the week. So looking forward to that. Guys, Sonar Pros, listen, right now, Trent, he's the owner out there. Right now, he's currently sitting in ninth place at the NPFL Classic. So you guys, hey, tune into that, watch it on Fix TV. But if you're in the area and you want your sonars done correct, properly, you need to call Sonar Pro 770-530-4505 by appointment only. And again, if you want to know who's having their stuff installed by Trent, watch Saturday and Sundays on all these professional things. He does a lot of pros. So if you want it done right, definitely get Trent and the guys to do that. Then we got Lipsticker, our buddy Kevin Underwood, who was on last week. Hey, if you want to learn sonar game on Lake Lanier, if you want to go catch the megalodons, Kevin's the guy. He will teach you and show you how it's done. And if you remember last week, he is now offering the opportunities to actually take clients out with him during tournaments. Now, again, you got to be a little more seasoned, but that's something that's pretty neat. I think you guys that can fish, you got to jump on that. So check him out at lipstickerfishing.com. And then we've got Evolve rod sleeves, as you can see right here. I'll tell you what. Kevin's got them. I've got them. A lot of guys got them in this area. The best rod sleeve on the market. Not only does it have the protective rod tip, it's got the lanyard to hold it tight on your reel, but it floats in the water. It will not allow all these treble hooks from your crankbaits and stuff. You know, we all know how that is to try to pull them out of the box. It totally eliminates that. So check them out, Evolve. We got them out here at the store, so come see them. And then we got Festive Waters. If you're into paddle sports, kayak game, just off 369, my buddy Nathan and the guys, they will set you up right. I do believe they do rentals. I'll double check on that. But if you want, a kayak set up to fish, be ready, that's the place to go. Check them out at festivewater.com and tell them the guys of F&G sent you. Then we've got my buddies back here, Turner Tire. If you're in the Jasper area and you want a local family, a good family-run business to do your tires, brakes, check out Brock and the guys there. They will treat you right. Brock's a fisherman just like us. Anytime you can support a local family, run business, do it in Turner Tire, 706-253-3339. And now we've got my favorite of all of them, of course, Etowah Mead Beer and Wine out of Dahlonega, Georgia. I talked to Blair. He's one of the guys up there. We're actually going to do an FNG night. It's going to be on a Friday night. So it's going to be a Fish North Georgia night at the Meadery. Tonight I'm doing 1833, but if we get up there, I'm telling you, they got a happy camper. That's all you need to know. So all you need to ask for is a happy camper. So look forward to that. We're going to be making more posts about that soon once we get the dates, and hope all you guys will come join us up there at Etowah. And I'm going to go ahead and announce it, even though it won't be official till next week, but we've got the Money Saver Lure Retriever. They're out of Missouri. So it's basically a very nice plug knocker. We got a lot of money on all the end of these rods and lines. Guys throwing, $30, $40, $50, $60 baits, getting them hung. This thing is designed very well. I'm going to have them on our website here in a few days, but I'll have some for the table next week. So they're coming aboard. So what's really cool about this is I was telling the guys with our sponsors, company from California, Texas, Missouri. Hey, we got some people recognize what we got, what we're doing here, and it's all because of you. Were the guest, of course. but also all our great viewers that help, with what we do. You guys drive the show. So my guest tonight is Dave Aldridge. Put that camera on his happy. Look at that. Look, he is happy to be here. Dave's always up here. Did I call you David? I did say Dave, right? You should go by Dave.
Yep.
He's always up here in the background, and he's a very knowledgeable angler. He's familiar with Lanier, Clarks Hill, Russell, Hartwell, and you fish over at Gunnersville.
A lot.
You get to rub elbows with, just drop a couple names of the guys you rub elbows with on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's pretty cool over there. Most of the tournament scene over there, all the pros are pretty much welcome. So we fish Sunday afternoons. We get to, if Swindle's in town, we fish with them. Wiggins, a lot of times they'll team up. Jacob Wall, Cal Lane. That's the only time we're ever going to get to fish against those guys.
Yeah, but you get to do it.
But we get to do it, and you get to jump in there, and you know that you're going to get your teeth kicked in if you don't catch them, so you better go catch them.
But it's fun. So I say that to say that my guest has some knowledge about what we're going to talk about. He's actually a very good angler, and in our conversations before and after the shows, just in talking with him, I thought he would be perfect tonight to come on and talk about our subject tonight. So before we get into that, let me say hello to everybody right there. I see from Brad Silvers, Nick B, Doug Phillips, Luke Turner, as always, Frank Arnold, Andrew Lasher, Dean Bolin Jr., and I cannot even begin to pronounce that last name. Won't you take a shot at it, Tim? Yeah, that one. Pull it up on screen. Pronounce that name.
Kurt Horianopoulos.
Horianopoulos.
Did I get it?
Horianopoulos. Horianopoulos. Sounds good to me. We're just going to call him H. So, hey, appreciate, buddy. Listen, we're old country boys, and you start putting all them consonants and vowels together, it's tough for us. Got Mr. Thornton, wingman, who was not going to vapor lock tonight. You're going to be able to make it through the whole show without laughing.
Absolutely.
You are? Okay, so good.
I'm a liar, too.
You are a liar, I know. So, hey, he
It
said
is a
perfect.
fishing show.
Kurt said perfect, so you must have nailed it, you lucky dog. But we're gonna call you H. So, good job, Tim. I'm impressed.
Got it.
I'm impressed. All right, so Derek White, what's up, buddy? All right, so anyway, this is what we're going to talk about. You know, back in the day, before the forward-facing stuff came out, this time of the year, every single year, bed fishing, bass, whether to do it, whether to not do it, it was as polarizing as anything else out there. You got your guys that are against it. I don't know. They will say it's not moral. It's not good for the fishery. Then you got the guys over here, and, you know, it's fine. You made an interesting comment before the show that I want to go ahead and get it out there when you were talking about the fish. You remember what you're saying?
I do.
Okay. Tell everybody what you said, because I think this is a great way to start the show off.
It's kind of like the whole forward facing debate. They don't want the fish caught out there deep because they don't get pestered. They're basically left alone. We've seen that, but they don't want to catch them on the bed either. So, but we can't do that. But it's okay to catch him out there when she's in 3 foot of water staging up to come.
Staging's fine. Yeah.
Staging's okay.
Yeah.
You don't fool with the shallow ones. Don't fool with
Don't
the
fool with the
deep
deep ones. Like, where can we fish these days?
8
8
to 15.
That's it. 8 to 15.
That's a green zone.
So, Kevin, you are I'm not going to say senior citizen. Let's just, what do we want? You're the wise one in here. So you've seen this argument.
I'd rather be called a senior citizen.
Okay. All right. So being our local senior citizen here, how do you feel about bed fishing in general?
I'm against it.
You're against it.
I am absolutely against it.
All right, good. So we got two sides of the argument right here. So good. So why are you against it?
You know, I used to fish in Florida a lot, and I've got 5 fish over 10 pounds, and I mounted 4 of them, the first 4. And I took away the opportunity for some other person to ever catch that fish.
Right.
And the 5th fish I released it. So I'm against bed fishing for that reason alone.
Just because you think they take the big ones out and go mount them and stuff?
I think that, and I think also that it does, in my opinion, mess the fishery up.
Just taking.
I'm taking that fish and I'm running 5-6 miles back up to where the weigh-in is, and that's where they're releasing it.
Okay, so not necessarily just the taking it out and taking it home and mounting it, but just taking it out of its habitat
It
where
messes
it's
the
at.
fishery too. Yes.
Okay, so I'm sure if any of you biologists are watching tonight, I would love to hear what you guys think about, or any of you guys that know any information. If you know whether taking a fish on bed up to the other end of the lake, as you were saying, and releasing it, will they spawn again? What will happen? If you got any of that information, you guys throw it out there in the comments, because I don't know, but I can see Andrew Lasher said that's a great point. That's a great point. Now, I will tell you this, and I don't know. I don't know the answer. I've heard it both sides. I've heard some biologists say, yes, it will affect that fish. But I've heard other ones say, no, they'll just kind of go back, restage, and find a place up there. Now, I don't know which is true, but at least from your point of view, you're more worried about taking that fish out of its habitat than you are.
They're already under a lot of stress,
Yeah, I get it.
and we're going to put them in a live well. And a fish is usually a good size fish. That's a lot of stress on that fish. And then to release them again back into the lake, I just think it has an effect on them that can be detrimental to the fish.
It probably does. It probably does. Now, you, I would say, are pro bed fishing. Or would you consider yourself?
I am when I have to be. So
Right.
if I'm tournament fishing and I roll down the bank and there's a 5 or 6 pounder laid up under a cypress tree or piece of clump of grass or something,
Right?
I'm gonna catch her.
Yeah.
Do I? You know, I would rather be able to catch her in a format where you can catch them and drop her back and let her go right back there and spawn.
Okay.
I think that's good. But if I'm just fun fishing, sometimes I will. Sometimes I won't. It just depends. If I got somebody in a boat that's never caught a bedfish, we'll go bed fishing
Okay.
and go do that. But I don't know because I came from the Toledo Rayburn area. Those lakes have been so good for so long. And there's so many tournaments that time of year where they're actually on beds and guys are actually looking at them bed fishing. I don't know the studies, but I would think if it was detrimental to them, you would see a decrease
Right.
in the lake productivity
Yeah, I got that.
from year to year.
So pull up that last comment right there. You pronounce it again. Waquan? Jaquan? Mr. Poole.
Waquan Pool.
I love you guys' names, man. It's so
Did
much
I get
fun.
it right?
I don't know, but
Waquan
Mr. Poole, the fish being caught is stressful, so it makes sense if it messes up the fishery. I get that. But kind of to your point, we see these lakes that produce year after year after year, and it doesn't seem like it really hurts the fishery. So maybe it's more lake specific. Like if that lake's got perfect habitat, plenty of bait fish, plenty of fish to go up and spawn, it can handle losing a few eggs here and there.
Right. And do they all spawn? I mean, take this
Good
example.
question.
Take Kentucky Lake. When Kentucky Lake was in its heyday, 25 to 30 on the bank during spawn. Look at the weights when they get offshore. 30 won't touch it. It's 35, 37. The bigger bags on Kentucky Lake in its heyday came off shell bars.
Mm-hmm.
So where'd those fish go? Did they spawn out there? Did they spawn at all?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But I heard a comment that, and it was interesting. I got to thinking about it. Do they all have to spawn? Do they all spawn?
I don't know. I wish I knew the answer to that question, but that's a good point.
It is.
I think what you said though kind of brings up, we've got Hammond's up here, great tackle shop, guys. If you're in the area, go support them over off 369. If you don't want to come to Fish North Georgia first, then you can go to Hammond's. But Tim runs that digital tournament.
Mm-hmm.
That you catch the fish, you weigh it, video it, drop it right back. Would it be better if all tournaments from say April to the end of May would go to that format?
I think they would. For the fishery standpoint, I would say yes.
Yeah.
As long as you got the right group of guys, because if you do that, because use Lanier for example, if you got spots, you'll catch that fish again.
Mm-hmm.
We fished a tournament a couple of years ago. I flipped a bait in there and broke the fish off, and I told my partner, my guy was with me. I said, "Throw right in there." He threw right in there, catches the fish. He's got my hook pegged to the top of his head.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that fish will bite again. You don't want to end up with another smallmouth debacle.
Correct. I get that. Pull up Chris Stubbs Angling. Good to see you tonight, bud. Let's answer this question right here or comment. I think if you moved a spawning fish that far, it would probably abandon that bed. Stress. Another fish might move onto it, or the other fish will eat the egg since mama isn't protecting it if it's got that bed. There's so many different scenarios and it's just like that. Are they guarding? Have they laid their eggs already? I wish I was a biologist and knew more about it, but I do think that, like Scott Barnes, who runs one of the bigger tournament, and it's not really a trail, it's more like, but it's very regularly scheduled. Like he doesn't fish during the certain summer hours because of the heat and everything.
Right.
Will we ever see a day where bass, MLF, all of them quit fishing during the spawn? Or is that too good for the camera, seeing these guys pull out these massive bags?
I don't think they will, because that's when fishing season kicks off. That's when everybody
Yeah.
is getting excited about it, when there's pollen all over everything and the fish are biting. And if you're going to take somebody fishing that's never
Yeah, the
fished,
dogwoods are
that's when you
blooming.
want to
They're out
go.
there fishing.
Hey, have you ever seen them guys put the spray bottles? They put the soap in the spray bottles, and have you done that?
No.
You don't know that trick? They didn't
I
teach you
know.
that? You know what I'm talking about, though? Have
Yeah,
you
I
ever
know
done it?
what-
I've seen
No.
guys do it. Spray it so they
Su-
clear
su-
that pollen.
Super soakers.
You know what? It's amazing how that works, though. That
It
pollen
works.
just goes like,
It does.
"Whoa," just because you put that bubbles on.
It
I know
does.
I know a lot of people know about that, but again, at some point, just like everything in fishing, somebody had to do it first.
Yes.
So some guy had to sit there and go, I bet if I sprayed some Dawn right there to clear that pollen up.
Exactly.
Why would he be thinking that?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's questions that I have. You guys catch the fish. I think about these other questions. Pull up Brad Silvers right there. Glad to see you tonight, bud. This is a really good question because it goes to where you're talking about whether fish spawn or not. Where do the pelagic spots on Lanier spawn most? Offshore, or do they hit the banks? Or do they, I imagine they got to spawn, but offshore fish, the fish that are out there chasing the bluebacks that are moving, where do they spawn? Do they come shallow for a time?
It's weird. Since I've been here in Georgia, it's like a light switch goes off and those fish move so fast. I think it all has to depend on light penetration. And I think they go wherever there's probably the closest. So, I mean, they could be on a hump. As long as that hump has got the right light penetration, everything's good, I think they'll spawn there. If they're close enough, they'll slide up there, because we know Lanier's clear, light penetrates a lot further than it will, say, on Gunnersville or someplace like that.
I know they spawn on humps.
Yeah.
A lot of guys will target those. Now, again, a spot will generally spawn deeper than a largemouth.
Yes.
Typically, yes.
100%. I mean, in most cases. So spots can go out to 15 feet. You can still catch them on
That's
bed.
at 8 to 15 feet. Greeny was talking about.
That's right. That's right.
They're fair game.
And the thing about a spot on bed compared to a largemouth is spot will still hit anything and everything. The largemouth, you got to play with them a little bit. Spots, like if it's within an acre, they'll still, hey, there's one, boom, go hit it. They're just that aggressive like that.
That's been the most fun thing here, is fishing in April.
Yeah.
You just get it close to them.
All you got to do is get it
A
close.
largemouth will drive you nuts,
Yeah, for sure.
because they're guarding a spot about the size of a golf ball.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to know if you don't have the sonar and you want to know if there's spots on that point or hump, throw it out there. And if you get hit, you can go 5 feet, 5 feet, 5 feet. And if you get bit on every single, there's spots up there
There's
bedding.
spots.
Absolutely.
There's spots up there bedding. So, but that is a good question. And what triggers the pelagic fish to all of a sudden go, it's time? When they hit up.
I think it's water temperature.
See, look at
Yeah.
Pat.
Which
Top
one? What am I
question.
looking at? All right, Pat Dunn. Hey, Pat, how you doing? Largemouths on Lanier don't need to be caught off bed. Their numbers are already severely diminished by the spots. So then that goes into another question like that. The moral aspect of, if you have a lake, Lake Lanier used to be a largemouth lake. Spots are taking it over. Everybody loves seeing big largemouths come to the scales. As an angler, and let's tournament or not tournament, should we say, okay, this lake needs the spots to reproduce, be more healthy, let them spawn, and just avoid them?
I mean,
don't know.
largemouth.
Yeah, largemouth. Yeah, I'm
Largemouth.
sorry. Yeah. My bad. Thank you, boss.
Yeah,
Wise man.
Wise man.
I can get into that. I mean, I guess those guys remember when Lanier was a largemouth lake in the heyday. I know it as a big spot lake.
Yeah, that's all I've ever known.
So with the Herod, it doesn't. I'm chasing big spots. I don't hardly ever look for largemouth. Every once in a while I'll see one, and one will be on the bed.
Mhm.
But I'm absolutely 100%. I'm going to catch spots.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize this. Talking about detrimental to largemouth bass fry. A lot of people don't realize this, but probably worse than bed fishing are blueback herring, because when a largemouth goes up, they lay their eggs, they have their fry. About the time those fry get just enough to where they're not being guarded by the buck bass, if you look at your timing, that's when you have your shad spawns and herring spawns, and they get up there. And herring are notorious for eating largemouth fry.
Sore spots.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sore spots.
So I mean, are you making that big of a difference by catching one off the bed? Is the bluebacks worse? You can kind of weigh it that way.
Well, it's like
That's nature, though.
It is nature,
Yeah.
but
See, that's
bluebacks.
not-
But see, but if we go by nature, bluebacks are not native to Georgia.
No,
So we kind of went against nature and put them in the lakes.
but they survived. It's still
They do
nature.
survive. It is nature. It is nature.
And
But it's natural for a man to go, I want to yank that big fish off that bed too.
you were a West Point guy at one time. I remember you telling me
A
that.
long
Look
time
at the
ago.
largemouth population on West Point now.
Yeah.
Non-existent just about.
Right.
Unless you run way up the river.
Yeah.
Way up the river.
Yeah. But that's just spots in general. Listen,
They're aggressive.
You put a spot anywhere and he's going to outcompete everything.
Yes.
So I wish I had the answers on these. Are some great things. Randy Medlock, pull that one up. If you're fishing during April and May, you are catching spawning bass. If you looking at them or not, you're catching spawning bass, especially with spots.
He's 100% right.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. Whether they're just getting ready to on or just getting off. I mean, it's all within that little cycle right there.
Yes.
That is a good point.
Yes.
But I would say this too with spots. That is the thing that, like we were saying, you don't have to eyeball a spotted bass on the bed. You can just kind of figure out there's spots.
There's
No,
a depth
on
zone.
bed.
There's
That
a
was a
depth
good-
zone.
Go back one question there. Drop down. That right there, Tony McCollum.
Oh, the how-to hero. Okay, let me read this. Much of the educational info I've seen say that the female bass doesn't deposit all of her eggs on one bed. Does the stress of catching her regress her spawning ability is the question. So Big Mama's going to get around a little bit.
Yeah, I've heard where they'll actually spawn a couple times.
I have too.
Okay.
So if that's the case, if we catch her in Ball Ridge, haul her to Little Hall,
Mhm.
drop her off, she still hadn't spawned. My guess is she's probably going to wait to the next cycle and finish spawning.
It could happen. I don't know. That's a good question. Guys, listen, we're going to rely on your expertise tonight because it's just a topic of conversation that happens, every time this year. And we were just tired of fussing about forward-facing sonar, so we wanted to fuss about this. How about this question from Matthew Smith? This is a good one. Do bait fish influence the spawn location lake to lake?
I don't think so. From what I've learned here, and I'll tell you what I did. I have 3 or 4, maybe 5 areas where they are. If they're spawning on Lanier, they're going to be there, and they're in there thick.
Yeah.
Right after I moved here, I guess it was probably in the summer of 20. I couldn't figure out what it was because I've not been here that long. I've not seen the lake down that low. So I literally got out, backed the boat up, power pole down, and shucked down, and I walked in the water neck deep just to see what the bottom composition is.
Good Lord, he's a diehard right there.
I think, and then, so when the lake went down this year, I literally went out there. I was wanting to catch some of the big deep spots, but I went out there to see what these areas look like that I hadn't walked around on, to see what the bottom composition are, and it's all the same. I think bottom composition trumps almost anything as far as location.
Now, a spot would be a harder bottom.
It's most of it was mixed bigger rock, whether it's the big slate stuff or the stuff that's about a little bit bigger than a softball, mixed with sand and pea gravel.
And that's what you found.
And that's what I found. And I literally rode the whole lake because I got places on the north end and places on the south end, and all of them had the same bottom composition.
That makes sense.
Hard bottom versus the soft.
Hard bottom versus soft.
Yes.
The man has done his homework in a different way. What do you think about that, Tim? You ever got out and walked around any?
No, I
With-
haven't, but I'm going to now.
Are you going
It's
to
a
now?
darn good idea.
I would wait a month or two.
The problem
Yeah,
is
no joke.
you're a little taller than I am. I can't get as deep as you are. My sonar only goes so far out there like that. So pull up that very top one. You guys got some great comments, and we're going to try to keep up with all of them. Ken Pruitt. Oh, good grief. Is that the Ken sitting over there beside you?
I think it is. It
All
looks like
right.
this guy
Is
right
that
here.
Ken? Or the Ken's over there typing in the question? Well, let's ask it anyway. In Minnesota, or is it a question or thing? Yeah, in Minnesota, they have lakes with spawning bays that are off limits, but not all fish use these areas. You're going to catch one because of their protective instincts anyway. That's kind of an interesting thing, off-limit areas. If you could pick an area, okay, now you don't fish Lanier as much as he does, so you're more
Not
Allatoona
at all. Yeah.
in those. Could you see an area on Lake Allatoona or Oconee that you could see, you could imagine being off limits and you'd be okay with it?
Mid Lake area, more than likely, but I don't know if I'd be okay with it.
Right. Oh, yeah, I got what you're saying.
I don't bed fish to patrol the shoreline and look for them. If I'm out there and I catch one,
That's a different thing.
it's a different thing.
Yeah,
But to sit there and just ride the shoreline looking for the next bed, I
that's
just
what
don't
you
do
don't do.
that.
Okay, I got you. What do you think about guys that do? Because you said you really don't either, especially on these lakes. You're looking for spots, so you do it a little different.
There, I'm catching spawning spots. I just can't see them.
Okay. What's the moral? What is the moral? You see the moral dilemma here between some is
I
like,
shouldn't be able to tell somebody else how to fish.
right? I get that.
I understand,
Yeah.
and I understand that.
Yeah.
But my conviction is I'm not going to sit there and bed fish that fish for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or an hour. If I happen to catch them fishing, throwing up a chatterbait or throwing a jig up there, and I happen to catch it, that's fine. I'm going to take them to the tournament. And so I'm contradicting myself in a sense,
Yeah.
but that's just how I am.
No, I'm not listening. There's
I
nothing
just
wrong with
don't
that.
fish that way.
Nothing wrong with that. I get it. I get it. Now, we've seen guys, especially this time of year, that's the way, if there's a tournament, that's all they're going to do all day. They're riding around looking for those 5 largemouth kickers. On the near, we get them. Alatoona, there's some big largemouth.
And
That's what they do.
and these guys know where they bed in these lakes. They fish it enough to know the areas where you're going to have the highest concentration of bedding fish.
Yeah.
So
So what do you think about that? Like, it's not against the rules, and I don't know how you could put it against the rules. Whether you're for it or against it, I don't know how you could actually police anything like that.
No, you would have to do. It would have to be no sight fishing whatsoever.
Yeah.
That's the only way you could do it.
and
'Cause
being
you
honest,
could not be visibly looking at one.
Well,
and then polygraph the heck out of them.
Yeah, so we know. Brad Silvers, where's Shan O'Gorman when you need him? I know. I've been trying to get in touch with him. I think he went down to Florida, moved down that way. So keep going. Hey guys, Stephen Ryan. Let's see, JP Vern. Oh, there's your buddy, JP Vern. Hey McGuire, are you telling me you forgot the late night stalker walks on the shallow winter banks of Alatoona? Tim, would you like to address that right there?
No, I would not. Why are you talking about this? That was our time on the lake.
Okay, I got you right there. I get it. Stephen Ryan's got a good question. Now, Stephen, you might have to hit back up. I don't know if you're talking about bed fishing in particular or just an area. We'll start off with you, Dave. How long do you typically stay in a spot at a time, or at a spot, for a time to fish? How long typically?
If I'm looking at them, I'll stay as long as it takes, or just after an hour or so they won't bite. Everything
Now,
else,
you talking about on a bed fish?
on a bed fish.
Okay.
If I'm catching spawning spots going down the bank, it's usually once I catch one and I pull them up and a lot of times you'll catch them and they're dripping eggs out.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll literally will grid that area and I will make cast every 5 to 6 feet.
Yeah.
Because unlike and it was weird in the fork tournament, they caught some more big fish right in one spot than normally I'm typically see. But spots seems like they will, if it's the right bottom composition, there's a bunch there.
Yeah, it's not just one individual there.
I've
There's
caught
a
as
bunch.
many as 15 or 20 in a pocket.
Yeah.
And but I just keep gridded it and just, you almost throw in there, even though you can't see it, like I feel like one's there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll sit there and hold that bait there until they won't bite, and I'll take another 5 feet.
Okay, yeah, excellent. So Brad Silvers, I love this. So he's going to start it off right here. I'll be the one. What's your top 3 baits for catching spots spawning on humps?
Humps.
On humps. So he threw that on humps there at the end. I don't fish for them on humps enough to know. So I imagine you're not going to see them. And let's take the sonar out of it. Let's say we're going onto a hump and we're doing it the old school way. We got a topo map. Yeah, there's a hump. Ought to be some spots there. What would you throw first? Would you go with a shaky?
On Lanier,
Yeah.
3/16-ounce shaky head, no screw lock.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you why no screw lock.
You hadn't watched the Bass University from Jesse
I-
Wiggins.
I don't watch Bass
You
University.
got to watch it.
What?
I don't own a shaky head with a screw lock in it.
Me either.
Really?
Because,
I don't
and I'll tell you
know.
why.
Okay.
When you throw that shaky head out there, and I'm going to bring up the bad word for a minute to get that forward-facing sonar. You throw that shaky head out there without a screw lock, it does this.
Circles as it falls.
All the way to the bottom. And mine will be rigged. I'll catch 3 or 4 on one worm. It'll be rigged so ugly and all jacked up looking. All I care about is that fall.
That's some juice right there. I like it.
Yep.
Is that the reason you do it?
no, I didn't know it did that.
Okay, so why do you not use a screw lock?
I just don't like it. I just want to thread it on the hook and go. I don't want to have to twist that thing around.
He's that ornery old man. I just don't like it.
I'm stubborn. Let's put it that way.
What about you, Tim? You said you didn't do it either.
Same reason for Dave. I like it to spiral, and plus I don't like that. That takes up a lot of gap for your hook space.
Yeah, and I didn't. I will tell
like
you that when we have one, I always take with a screw lock, and I do use a screw lock, but I will always snip it down so that basically it's got one little cylinder, just enough to get the worm started. But I myself did not think about the spiral in action.
Danny, did that screw lock come into play from years ago when people were trying to peg that sinker up, even when it was a Texas rig, if you recall? Because first the Texas rig came out with the screw lock.
It did, yeah.
On your weights. So I guess back then it spiraled as well.
It does, because I still have some.
Yeah.
For when I'm largemouth fishing, I like a Cinco, and I'll screw like a 16th ounce in there, and you'll throw it for 30 minutes, and you'll reel it in and hold your worm up there, and it's unspinning. So it's got to be doing that.
And you think
it's
that's
twisting.
That's a good
It
tip.
twists your line, yes.
But I mean, I'm typically not throwing it that deep. I'm throwing it in 2 or 3 foot of water. So I don't know how much of the spiral it actually does, but if you throw it out deep, it will kind of get a spiral because it twists your line. If it was falling straight down, it wouldn't twist.
Okay. So let's see, John Aldridge. What's up, buddy? Just got off the water. Guys, listen, if you put a question out there and we miss it, because Tim does the best he can to try to hit the cameras. He's changing cameras. He's trying to read your comments. If a question gets by, put it out there again. So we don't mean to miss it. We'll try to get to every single one of them. So that's a really good tip.
What were your next 2 baits?
Yeah. This is on humps.
On humps.
See, that threw the loop in it. You know, I know exactly what I would throw to one in 2 or 3 foot of water.
Yep.
But
Wacky.
on humps.
I'm gonna throw a drop.
What'd you say?
You said a wacky.
Damn right, I'm gonna throw a wacky.
That's what I throw on
Once-
the hump too.
Well, I might.
You know Danny's gonna throw a wacky.
100%.
He'll wait on it and eat his sandwich while it falls to the
100%.
bottom.
But I will tell you that a lot of people don't realize, like when you're talking about spotted bass, if they're up there in a section, like you said, they do it in groups.
Mhm.
You can go down a bank and throw that wacky and boom, pop, boom. Pop. You can go down the entire bank if you got just a little patience for it to get down about 4 or 5 feet.
Yep.
Because a spawning spot's still aggressive.
Yes.
They're not going to wait and let it get down and you got to noodle it in their bed. They're like, it's in my area. I'm going to eat
It's
it.
coming.
It's coming. So I think that's my personal one just for spots. But that's not, I've never tried it on a hump. I don't fish humps that much. I guess I should. But I guess you throw a wacky on humps,
I throw a wacky all the time.
but you're weighted.
I'm weighted.
You're a weighted wacky. You're not like me. So you like to get it down there.
I put a 1/32 ounce
But
nail weight in it.
You're still going to get, so are you Nicoing or are you wacking?
Well, I do Nico, but I wacky it, but I take and put that weight in the center of the worm so it gives it more of a when it falls.
Okay, I got you. That makes sense right there. So let's take his question and let's turn around and let's put it on an actual bedded fish. Let's say a largemouth, big largemouth on bed. What would be the first bait you would throw at that thing? And I can tell you what I've seen the pros do. A lot of guys will take a white swim jig and they'll run it by it 2 or 3 times. And if the big girl's aggressive, they hope she hits it thin. They'll do that before they go back and start dropping in the bed and noodling it.
Right.
I've seen that.
If I've seen her and I feel like she's seen me, I will throw either a Zoom Vibracraw
Yeah.
in green pumpkin if I can see. If I can't, I'll throw a white one and tip it with pink just so I can see it.
Yeah.
Or a sweet beaver.
Okay. What about you? Well, you don't do it anyway, so it doesn't matter,
I
right?
throw a tube.
You would throw a tube in there. You know what I would throw? I swear to God, I'm telling you, this is the best bed bait out there, and people are going to think I'm crazy. A turd. Throw one of them little bitty things
Mhm.
right down
small.
on there. Huh?
Something
Something
small.
very small. A green pumpkin Ned rig dropped right in the middle of that thing. Number one, it doesn't scare them. It's not something that will flip them out. Now, it's hard to see. You got to watch your line. You got to watch that. But when I have done it, I have found that I've gotten more bites off of a Ned rig in a bed than anything else.
Yep.
Now, you're throwing it on light line and everything, and you got on spinning gear and all that. You're not doing it. So once you hook her up, then it's up to you on whether you can get her in. But to draw a strike, I have found a Ned rig works better than anything.
That drop shot's pretty good too. And I throw it shallow and deep.
Yeah. Now, my partner here, Josh, we were down on Black Shoals, and we found some bedfish in a tournament, couldn't get them to bite anything. And he actually threw a drop shot over the bed, and he would put the sinker right down in the middle of the bed, and that thing's just sitting up there about 12 inches.
Yep.
And dude, they would hammer it.
They're not going to leave it there.
They will hammer it.
And I think it gets it because if it's on the bottom, it almost has to be in a spot, especially for largemouth. There's a sweet spot. And sometimes, I mean, you'll be fishing for a while before you actually find it. But that drop shot sitting right there off the bottom in their face, it's almost like they could just
That's why they'll
it.
swim by and look at it because it's not in that sweet spot.
Right.
So they'll just keep on swimming on by it.
I got you. And I've seen Jesse Millsap do this. I've heard other guys talk about it. Jesse's fishing the MPFL this year again. Very well-known local angler around here. If the buck's there with her, oftentimes it's the buck's job to get it out of the bed because he's trying to.
He's going to bite first.
He's trying to coax his woman in the
And second. And third.
and second, third. But a lot of them guys will, if they see the buck bite, they will not set the hook. They'll let the buck go, drag it off, drop it. They'll throw it back in there, and he might, like you said, do it again. But eventually, big girl's going to get tired of him not doing his job, and that's when she hits.
Yes.
And so that's something I've heard a lot of experienced anglers do is don't get impatient and nail the buck first.
Right.
Let him do his job and drop it. But just eventually, like every woman in this world, she's going to say her man can't do it. She's going to handle it. Yeah, so that's just something I've learned. Did we miss any questions? Oh, bed fishing, the original live scope. Kind of is. It kind of is. Oh, how about that, Jeremiah? One of the best bed baits of all time is the dang Tokyo rig. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Very similar, a little bit lower than the regular drop shot, but you're doing the same thing. Pull up Justin Warren's question right there. He's up just a couple. Yeah, let's pull that. What's up, Justin? Hey, guys, how is all the rain and weather changes, such as the post fronts we've been having going to change the spawning phase? Or is it based mainly on the time of year water temp? I mean, if you get a really serious cold front, it might knock them back, but it's got to be a serious, big-time pressure changes. If it's just a rainy day,
yes,
stuff like that, it's not going to affect them.
Yeah, I think it has to do more with water temperature and water clarity.
Yeah.
And typically, the few times I've got to experience Lanier muddy, I love it. I'm going straight to the mud. I'm getting dirt shallow, and you catch some giants up there.
Yeah.
But I've seen it. I saw an instance years and years ago back in Louisiana where we were fishing that we pulled in a place that morning. We broke ice in the Chaffalay Basin, rolled in a place. I threw a buzz bait. Its water temperature's in the 30s, and the fish had been up spawning, and the buzz bait literally skipped across the ice. We came back that afternoon after it warmed up. I caught a 5-pounder off a stump that was under the ice before. She got up there and was locked on that bed. She wouldn't leave. It iced over top.
I think
of her.
once they're locked on, they're not going to move. It
They
doesn't
can't
matter
leave.
what the weather does.
Let me go back. You threw a buzz bait?
I caught 5. We had 5 bites that day of our boat. We had 5 bites. I caught all 5 of them on a black buzz bait.
And how cold was it?
It was 22 that morning.
And ice on top of the water.
Ice on top of the water.
And I'm going to ask you this. This is just for me. Why are you throwing a buzz bait in that cold?
Because they had been up there spawning, and I was trying to. You can't see down there. You can't
Right.
see a spawning fish. It's too dirty.
Yeah.
But we knew they were up there that shallow, and then I knew if they locked on, they were going to stay put.
Just trying to get them to show themselves.
Show
Just trying to
themselves.
get a reaction. And the only 5 bites I had, I mean, they had it down to the blade.
But they hit the buzz
They
bait.
ate the buzz bait.
That's very interesting. Peter W., hey, glad you could join us tonight. I don't know, what have we got there? That's that crazy bug up there hearing that loud. I've been saying, what is that noise going on right there? Okay, so I said, though, if I were going to target a fish, I would throw a known bedding fish. I would target it with the Ned rig. What would you target it with?
I'd still go with the tube.
What kind of tube?
Probably about a 3.5, 4-inch tube.
Bigger tube.
White.
And the white's for your visibility.
Yes.
Not the fish.
Yes, for mine.
Tim, what would you do, dog?
Probably Ned rig.
You know what? Not a lot of people don't, it's a, fairy wand doing that, but it's actually very effective.
I've had a lot of luck with it on
It's
bedding
very
fish.
effective.
Largemouth mainly.
I
but
didn't own a spinning rod until about 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's because you from where are you from?
Louisiana.
Yeah,
We don't throw that down there.
he's a jambalaya and Cajun cooking fool, but he didn't bring me none
We
tonight.
didn't throw it in Florida either.
Ned rig?
You
No,
get,
spinning reels.
Oh, spinning reels. Oh yeah,
you
yeah,
get
yeah.
your feeling hurt. I mean, everything's gotten better now. Spinning rods are better, lines better.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know, nowadays I'm sure they are throwing them some.
But it is true. You didn't grow up with those things.
No, I
Yeah.
got a buddy of mine sent me a picture night before last. He caught 11-11 on Caney Lake in North Louisiana. I think they had one of the MLF tournaments there.
Yeah.
He goes, I need to come over there to you. I said, bring your spin rods. He said, I'm at the bar, son. He
Ain't
said,
got
I don't have
none.
them. You don't have them.
You got to have them now. I've seen some of
Yep.
the biggest power guys.
Yep.
Barry wants. Now they all have a couple. You have to. You got a few.
I do, and I use them.
Yeah.
But you can go out and catch an 8-pounder coursing around and bring them in with no problem. And you go back out on a tournament day and catch an 8-pounder and he breaks you off.
That's just the way it goes.
I know it.
I know. I've been there like that. So, Peter W. Oh, live crayfish. Yes, I guess throwing anything live. I also saw somebody say the lizard. Nobody around here throws the lizard anymore.
Carolina rig.
Carolina rig lizard, but in the bed.
No.
They used to be a thing.
I
A
would
lot
throw that.
of people did them farm ponds and whatever. Old timers will throw a lizard.
I'm a brush hog guy.
Brush hog. So but pretty much same kind of thing. Brush hog.
Same principle.
Same
Critter-
principle.
Kind of a long
That's what
critter
the
bait.
11-11 came on. Carolina rig brush hog
Really.
up shallow.
Carolina rig
3
up
foot of water.
shallow. Let's see. That's live crayfish. Yeah, a darker tube makes for a terrific bluegill imitation and is my go-to for bed fishing.
He's younger than I am. You can see it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, you got to factor in that.
That's funny because we had that conversation before the show about as we get older what things don't work, and
Yeah.
we're just gonna start off with the eyesight goes first, right there.
Yeah, it's
It's
gone.
Yeah, the lighter colors are so us old guys can see them.
100%. You ain't got nothing to do with that. Alka-Seltzers. Listen, that's an old redneck trick from back in the day. You can do. I've seen it. I've seen guys put them in pantyhose. And again, this is pre-Jesus, Danny. Yeah, things the guys I used to run around with, but they would throw that Alka-Seltzer in the bed and just let the bubbles annoy the
He
fish.
used to put it inside a tube.
Tube. That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Highly illegal now, right? Well, let me ask you: would that be illegal in a tournament?
Why wouldn't it?
Why would it? I mean, it's
Why
not,
would it or wouldn't it
Why wouldn't it?
be illegal?
I
It
wouldn't.
should be illegal.
I wouldn't.
Why
think
would it be illegal though?
I don't know. I'm asking you guys are the smart ones. I just asked the questions around
I don't
here.
think it's illegal.
Dude, they so worried about four faces sonar.
They ain't worried about that.
Alka-Seltzer.
It's
There's guys out
immoral.
there throwing dynamite.
It doesn't matter if it's illegal; it's immoral. Don't
That's
do
right.
it. This is wrong.
Yeah. Let the guys fuss about the sonar stuff. We're over here with
Yeah, y'all go scratch it out in the
Alka-Seltzer.
parking lot with your forward-facing
That's
sonar.
right. We're
Don't pay
doing
any
that.
attention to the Alka-Seltzer.
That's exactly right. What color chatterbait are you running when it's muddy? Chocolate milk. My answer is I ain't, but you go ahead.
Hey, that's when I throw it. I mean, I've thrown a chatterbait a handful of days on, especially like these herring lakes.
Right.
It's got to be muddy. I'm gonna throw either usually green pumpkin,
Something dark.
some dark. You can do black and blue, but
Yeah.
green pumpkin just shows up. They bite green pumpkin here better than they do back home.
That's an interesting thing because I was getting ready to ask you that same question. But why do you think green pumpkin is so prevalent here and not back home? Is it the water clarity,
I
the quality?
I think we threw it for
quality?
so long. I mean, back home, black and blue. It's the water's dirtier.
Yeah.
Black neon, black and red. That was a big deal.
And we're talking Louisiana here, right?
Red shad.
Yeah.
A big deal. But when I got over here, they started biting green pumpkin, and it don't matter what color flakes.
What about
in it.
Gunnersville?
Gunnersville's a little bit of it's green pumpkin, watermelons, plum apple in the summer is a really good color.
It's amazing how colors change from lake to lake. What works on
Yeah,
one?
I mean,
Y'all
it's
get
like
off
you
my
go down
plum
there to
apple.
Mr. Kevin,
Nobody
it's
needs to
June
know
bug.
about plum
Plum
apple.
apple's great. I got
Nobody
a bunch
needs
of
to know
plum
about
apple
it.
here up at Fish North.
Plum
You guys
apple's
come
horrible.
see me. I got it in several different brands.
Like Mr. Kevin, you threw what, June bug in Florida?
I threw June bug a lot in Florida. June bug red, to be specific.
You know what's now? Listen, I will tell you this because I grew up. I wasn't blessed to grow up on these big lakes and get to fishing, but I had farm ponds. And back in Forsyth County during the '80s, everybody had a 2 to 5 acre lake. And I'm telling you, June bug back then was the stuff. You could catch a lot of fish on it.
They starving to death in that 3 to 5
They
acre
probably
lake, too.
are. They probably are. Chartreuse and white, Jeremiah says that's good. George Smith, y'all get off my damn lizard. Hey, listen, George, I'm glad you could join
Chartreuse
us.
black chatterbait too.
Chartreuse and
Black.
okay, we can start this argument now because I have been reading enough to know that chartreuse does not look like chartreuse to fish underwater. It becomes more of a shade. So, what do you think it is about chartreuse, though? I mean, because everybody throws some form of chartreuse in a lot of stuff. What is it about chartreuse, that, especially spots? They just can't stand
They
it.
hate it.
But I don't understand it. If to a fish's eyes, it's not glowing like we think it's glowing.
Yeah.
What are they seeing?
I don't know. And the one place that I see it more prevalent than on Lanier and the Heron Lakes is the Coosa River. If I throw a spinnerbait on the Coosa River, it's going to have some sort of chartreuse in there. I don't know what it is. They
Mhm.
just seem to bite it better. I don't know.
I wish we could figure that out.
How do they know, the scientists, that when they look at chartreuse, it's a different?
Because they
color?
asked them.
Yeah, it's about like your pet dog telling you what's wrong with them, right?
That's-
Fish only have green and red cones. They don't have the blue cone that we have for the try whatever vision. So
Speak
if
it
you
there.
pull the blue out of it, chartreuse is white, but it glows.
You think so?
I think it glows. I think there's something more that just almost like a neon.
He's
You got
gonna have to
standard
get
white
PhD
and then
in-
neon
I
white.
know. Listen, Tim all of a sudden getting like scholarly on us.
That was all of the knowledge that I possess.
I
in
can
that
see
two
your head
sentences.
shrunk a little bit
Yeah.
once you got that out.
I'm gonna go back to the comments.
You're great back there, man. You're absolutely great. It's unlawful to throw any other color than red in Gunnersville. Yeah, I mean, I've heard that a lot. I've heard that a lot.
Yeah, they bite it.
Let's see. It's prettier than they are. Yeah, I don't. Casey Blanton, you know I love you, dude. I have no idea. What's Jay Rogers saying? Check Tim's fingers for powder burns. Yeah.
I have no idea what he's talking
I
about.
used to be a cop. I know that. So, Gabe Hammonds. Now, this is going to be on. You two can answer it. I definitely can't. What's y'all's opinions on the Coosa River here in Alabama? I have lived on Lay Lake. So I guess you're from Alabama, Gabe. Hey, thank you for joining us tonight from good old Alabama. As the guy over there.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on the Coosa over there?
I like the Coosa personally.
It ain't worth the crap at Brushy Branch.
I mean, it's one of I've been on Weiss just a little bit. I got a tournament coming up there in a couple of weeks, so I got to get out there. I like Logan, but I've spent more time on Logan. I'm liking Neely a lot more. Lay, I've only been on it one day. Now they had a 9-pounder caught out of there last year, so there you go.
Yeah.
I think the Coosa River is underrated. The number of big largemouth it has, it's just hard to get them to bite.
Yeah. I tell you, so my only experience on the Coosa has been up at Rome, and it was on a guided striper trip. As far as fishing,
Yeah.
I've never bass fished it except for a couple electric tournaments where we went out of Brushy Branch. And if you go far enough, you're in the Coosa.
Yeah.
But I always found it easier to catch fish. It kind of like the oxbows and stuff outside of the actual river. I know there's big ones in there though.
Yeah, they are. I mean, if you look at that Coosa River team trail, that's all they fish. You better come in between 20 and 26 most days.
God, that's amazing. That's a lot right there. So pull up JP Vern outside up there. Texas Texas rigged with a heavy weight and a glass bead, small piece of foam stuffed inside it for floating will drive a bedded fish crazy. I can see it. It's a good point. Good point right there. I'm still going to I'll be thinking tonight when I'm in bed about the Alka-Seltzer tube. That just seems like a tournament trail would outlaw that somewhere.
It's just wrong.
I think it would right there. So, Brad Silvers, what worm on a shaky head, color and type? Now, I assume he's talking about for spots right now.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you, a lot of guys around here will go with some variant of green pumpkin, and most 90% of them will dip the tail in chartreuse, JJ's Magic, or something like that.
Yep.
That seems to be pretty much standard.
Yeah, it is.
Some will go with the orange, the methylate orange on the tail if the crawfish are up too, but chartreuse pretty much. Again, we're back to the chartreuse again.
I'm a green pumpkin guy. There's one little color we're not going to talk a whole lot about.
Really?
On Lanier.
Why not?
I only throw one color on Lanier.
What color's that?
Yeah.
Trying to trip him up.
No, it's I throw green pumpkin magic.
Well, I throw green pumpkin blue.
That's the only one I'm
I'm
gonna throw on
green
Lanier.
pumpkin green.
You're a green pumpkin green.
I don't think it matters as long as it's some form of green pumpkin.
Yeah,
I think it's more between our ears than it is anything else.
it probably is, but you got confidence in that.
I got the utmost confidence.
And
in it.
green pumpkin magic's got a little more color into it, so you probably get a little. You're mimicking some brim or something.
but I don't dip it.
But you don't dip it.
Nope.
Is there a
No
reason? Y'all don't dip it?
No.
That's because y'all are flatlanders.
I'm
Plastic
not,
crawl, I will, but not a worm.
Really?
I'm kind of saying I'll dip the tails of a crawl, but that worm I'm not. If I'm a bluegill fish, I'm gonna get me some wigglers and go out there because that's all they're gonna just peck on it.
Okay.
I don't dip it. I know a lot of the guys do. I don't.
I will. Here's a tip for those that do dip it. If you're getting short strikes, turn around and
Dip the head.
and put it down on the hook, and then try to draw them towards the hook. So that's just a little bit of that. Pat Dunn, pull it right there at the top there. You guys got some great questions tonight. You're making my job easy. On any given part of a lake, do spots spawn earlier or later, or same time as largemouth? What's the general water temps? Are they triggered by new and full moons? And I would probably say yes to all that.
Yeah, it seems like Lanier they start on the north end.
They do flow.
with our crew that I used to fish with the little bass club that I got in when I moved to Georgia. We always in our April tournaments we started doing south of Browns Bridge on day 1, north of Browns Bridge on day 2, and there would be times where you get on south side of Browns Bridge, you catch the heck out of them, they're all spawning, and go up to the north side of Browns Bridge, and I'd have to do some spawn / herring spawn stuff
Right.
up there, and it's not
Because
far.
it's kind of already happened.
It's already happening
Now-
and it's getting too far into the spawn for them to really be set up good.
Now, Kevin, with that being said, the way Lake Lanier sets up, north and down, the dam is at the very bottom of the lake. Alatoona is a little different where the dam's in the middle of the lake. Do you see any of that? Is there like a progression of the spawn from, say, up Stamp Creek, up your long fingers and pocket, down towards the dam with the
I
dam
would
being
think there
last?
is, yeah. The north end of the lake first, because it's going to warm up, especially anything from where the southern winds are blowing into the north.
What exactly is the north end of Alatoona?
Going up towards the Etowah River, Little River area.
So that's considered the north end.
Yeah. Anything from actually Galt's Ferry
Okay.
all the way is north. And then
Okay.
from Galt's Ferry down to, I'd say probably near the dam, be the center of the lake. And
Okay.
anything south of there to the south end.
That makes sense. Okay. Andrew Lasher. Here we go. Glad you could join us. What tips can be given for the spawn for spotted bass on Lanier? Never done it, never fished it. Tip number 1, go where hard bottom is. Throw a worm or something out there.
Yep.
And if they're hitting it, they're there.
They're there. I start looking at 54, 55.
Yeah.
Water temps
Yep.
like that. But hard bottom being key.
That's key. That in the depth zone. So the best way I can describe it is if you're going around a place and you're looking looking towards the bank and you see where you can see the bottom and where it transitions to really dark, about 3 feet inside of that, that's where I've caught most of them.
Yeah, because spots do spawn typically a little
bit
deeper than
deeper.
longer. Yeah.
But I don't catch them in 15. I catch them in 4 to 8.
That would be the predominant area.
That seems to be where the most of them are stacked up.
But it seems to me like that comment you just made that when Scott Barnes, I've heard him say before, either I read a comment, he mentioned something about that darker,
Just
and I might be wrong,
just
Scott, if you're
inside
watching
of it.
but just, once it transitions from what you can see to almost looks like maybe that's I know we don't have the grass lines, but almost like it turns deeper, darker, greener.
It's almost like an algae
Yeah.
line. Look,
Like a line, but it's very noticeable in the law of the lake.
Mm.
But on the deeper side of that transition is probably where you're going to find the spots. And again, you say that's
And
4
you
foot,
feel
8
like
foot.
you feel like they spawn at the same time, the spots in the largemouth?
I think the largemouth might go a little earlier. I start looking then. Most of the spots I've caught have been 58 to 64, 65. I mean, I've seen them spawning up as high as almost 70, depending on how fast it warms up and
Right.
things like that. I mean, if it gets a little, I call it cloudy. If it gets a little cloudy, 1 or 2 warm days, and that water temp will really shoot up there.
Yeah.
And it seems like the largemouth seem to hang towards that high 50s, and the spots come kind of right in behind them.
So what is your take on, I've heard this said on the show many times, that the first wave, and again, whether it's largemouth or spots, they don't all spawn at once. They spawn in waves.
Correct.
So you got that first wave that comes up, then probably the second wave is the majority of them, and then you got that third late wave. But I've been told many times that first wave that comes up, that's generally your bigger fish. Your bigger girls are coming up quicker so that they can get done and get out.
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
I do, because a lot of times that'll be that borderline water temperature, and I'll end up catching what I think's a spawning spot, like on a crankbait. I've run a crankbait across like a DT6 across the bed, and she's engulfed it, and she's full of eggs. A lot of times I'll put the crankbait down and start pecking around there with a worm, drop shot, something like that,
Because you found the area.
and see if I can pick up a few more like that.
What do you think about that?
I've never thought about it with a crankbait, but yeah, he's searching to begin with.
Yeah, I mean,
You get the reaction by
it's like
Yeah.
it's almost like a winter bite, but it's happening. It's both the pre-spawn and the spawn are kind of colliding. And a lot of times you just pick up a bonus fish, it'll tell you something.
Okay. Gabe's got a question. It's definitely going to be for you,
Okay.
Dave, especially the end of it. I can't even pronounce the hell of that marina right there.
Me
But he fishes some marina trail every year on the Coosa. I got to go to Lake Jordan next weekend, and I've been catching pigs on that lake the past few weeks. What's a good flipping tip that can make me better at landing fish?
I tell you, if it's pretty close contact where I'm not really casting, I'm flipping. I guess more pitching nowadays. Nobody hardly flips. I usually tie a 3/0 trocar, like a regular straight shank flipping hook, versus like an offset or something like that, and snell it. If he gets any bit of it, the way that snell works and it works appropriately, it's going to get him. I've used it on Lanier, going down through there flipping. If they're in there thick, I don't want them on. I can catch them on a spinning pole, but I'd a whole lot rather put the big stick and slap a few of them.
Oh yeah, I got it.
So I put that snell knot in that big trocar flipping hook.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, guys, we're almost halfway through the show, so you start getting your question of the week ready. But go back up, Tim, if you don't mind. I saw a comment about the no forward facing sonar tournament. It's up there. I saw it and it got thrown back up. It's somewhere. I saw it, so I know I saw it. But anyway, let me tell you guys something about the tournament. It's the Touring Anglers. I know I saw it. It's there somewhere. Maybe you went too far, but the Touring Anglers pot tournament is what it's called. I guess pot tournament's the way it's been. That's going to be April 1st through the 4th on Lake Lanier. And
Is that it there?
did you see
Go
it?
back down a little bit, Tim. Next one. What do y'all think?
Okay,
about
Jacob Adams. There you go. I knew I saw it. What do y'all think about the upcoming tournament at Lanier with the no forward-facing sonar and no waypoints? So that's April 1st to the 4th. April 1st will be the day they're not going to be fishing. They're going to have a period of time where they're riding around, and then you will have 3 days of fishing down to on that Thursday, the final 12. My thoughts on that tournament, I think it's a very neat concept. I've always thought that maybe each of the professional tours should have at least one lake or at least some of the days of their lakes, or maybe it's a throwback tournament, all-star tournament kind of without it. Because I just like the fact that guys go fish. I will say that the guy that is running the tournament, Alan Brooks, is the concept. He will be here next Thursday night as our guest on the live well. He's going to be talking a lot more about it in depth. And I'm hoping he's going to drop the names of the guys that are fishing it, because I was told some of them yesterday in a phone conversation with him. And I promised him I wouldn't say it, but all I can tell you is there are some heavy, heavy professional hitters coming in town. And I'm talking names like, you know the names. They're coming into town. So I think it would be really cool to see these guys. A lot of people are saying, well, it's during bed season. It's going to be a sight fishing tournament anyway. The reason that the date was chosen was because of scheduling conflicts with all the professional tours. And again, think about the name. It's Touring Anglers. So it's actually geared to get those guys to come into a place. Now, yes, local hammers are going to be fishing it. And if you got the money, you can fish it. But what he's really wanting to do is get the best of the best on the lake with no forward-facing sonar. I'm all for it. The waypoint thing, I get it. The reason I was explaining that you can't have waypoints is to prevent someone from going on a site like Fish Tips and buying information. Calling your buddy up here that lives on the lake, say, hey, listen, if I win 125 or 300,000, whatever, I'll give you X percent of it if you give me locations. So that's one of the reasons that there's no waypoints. That's to kind of discourage that. And you used to, at the beginning, you were going to have to take your transducers off the boat. Well, now they're not doing that. They're putting a little special kind of a lock. Any of you guys that work in like the industrial thing, when you have to tag out an electrical line, you can put these locks on it. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to unscrew the power and the transducer from the graph and put that lock on it. And I guess he will have the key, or the people running the tournament will have the key, so it cannot be taken off or altered. So that's, I think, I wish I could tell you the name of the guys that were coming, because that's what excites me about it. And you kind of know, you've talked to some of those in your circle. You know a few that are considering it. We ain't got to drop no names.
Yep.
But am I wrong in saying some heavy hitters can be coming into town?
Yeah, I think he's done a real good job with this concept. It's going to draw a crowd,
Yeah.
and I think if he does it again, it's going to draw even a bigger crowd.
Yeah. And look, with every time you try to start something different, there's going to be a few headaches and bumps in the road to start off with. You know, originally it was a $300,000 first place prize based on 200 boats. As of yesterday, they had 107 boats that were already paid, registered, definites. What everybody doesn't know is that he had 303 anglers pledged to fish it. And so if a lot of those guys come in, he'll have a full field or very close to it. If he does not, when I talked to Alan yesterday, he said, all I really need is 100 boats to run this tournament. So based upon that, then the payout goes to $125,000 for first place and pays down to 25 spots, I think $10,000 for 25th. I think it is a $5,000 entry fee. Now, that is pretty steep, but if you're a gambler and you got the skills, I think that's what puts a little drama into it. That's a big-ass paycheck.
Yeah, and I think you'll see a lot of the big names on Lanier.
Oh, they're coming.
That'll jump.
Yeah.
And gets, I mean, like I said, without waypoints, some of these guys, yeah, they've been on Lanier, but if you think about it, the last big tournament that was on Lanier was after the split. So a lot of the big names may have been there, may have not.
Yeah.
So we don't,
I think the last really big major tournament, FLW came here.
It was 19 Bass came here.
Basket, yeah. So that was the one I think Jason Johnson finished fourth in.
Yeah.
And that old fella from Oklahoma won it. I forget his name.
The Bass one, Paul Mueller won.
Okay, so that's not the one I'm thinking. This was I know it was FLW.
The Cup came one year.
Is that
Wheeler won it.
Hell, I forget. I just know Jason Johnson, the local guy, finished fourth in it because I was rooting for him and all that.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. The cool thing about this is, though, on Thursday, the final day, we are packing up all these cameras and everything, and we're going to actually be broadcasting the weigh-in live, starting about an hour before the weigh-in. The crew here, we're going to go live. We'll do our talking and everything, and then as the guys are coming in and weighing the fish, we're going to be commentating on it the entire time. So I'm looking forward for that opportunity. We did something similar on a much smaller scale at the Noe tournament for his when he was having his expo. He has that tournament. We did that at weigh-in and had a lot of fun. We're going to really up the game this time. But I think if I'm lucky, I might get some of these hammers and even these local guys. There's a lot of local guys that are fishing it. Some names. I mean, I know the Emils and the Paul Marks and Brooks that was here, Brooks Anderson, they're in it. I believe Paul Driscoll's going to fish it. So there are some local hammers that know this lake. And so I'm looking really forward to watching them compete against pros coming in.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Those guys they can take every graph off the boat. They don't need them.
Yeah. So
that time of year, you're not going to need them.
Yeah. So I'm excited. But again, you guys mark your calendar for next Thursday because Mr. Brooks will be in here and we're going to question him on it. I want to know everything, and so we'll see by that time because the actual cutoff to enter the tournament is tomorrow. And he said he's having a hard cut. He's not going to extend it. This is the first time they're doing it. So whatever they have by 9 o'clock tomorrow or not 9 o'clock, but end of the day or wherever the cutoff is, that's what they're going to have. That's who's fishing it.
Yep.
But I'm just telling you guys, the names are coming. It is coming. It's going to be great. He has to work that Thursday to be at the weigh-in. Bradley Hallman, Alan Roberts. That's right. So Bradley Hallman won the tournament I'm talking about.
Okay.
Alan, was that an FLW tournament? Tell me what that was if you can remember. I just know Jason finished.
I think it was a bass.
It was a bass.
I think it was when he was fishing bass.
So I know Bradley Hallman. He won. I mean, he had a great 4 days. Yeah. I mean, and if I'm not mistaken, he was nailing them on swim baits by the seawalls. Yeah. I think that's how he caught them. I'm not sure. All right, guys. So hey, listen, keep your questions coming. But right now, we're gonna have the Opson Fluoro question of the week. All right, it's a 2-parter right there.
2-part.
All right, so again, as always, this is for a $50 off code. You guys that won it last week, I will get yours out to it. They're at an expo this week, so I'll get the codes tomorrow or the next day. He fished FLW, so yeah. Okay. Matthew Smith. Hey guys, listen, I love you guys. Y'all make my job so much easier. So again, I'll get those codes out, but this is for $50 off at OpsonUSA.com. Kevin just told you at the beginning of the show he's fished with it now. I've fished with it. You like it.
I do.
Absolutely great line. It's going to really compete with these guys. I'm looking forward to getting it in the store in April. That's when the distributor is going to start releasing it into retail locations. So you guys can come feel it and all that. But anyway, 2-part question. When you answer it, do not put one of them because you're doing nothing but helping somebody else. So make sure you do both parts of the question. All right, you ready there, Father Tom?
I think so. Tim, you got the answers back there too?
Are you
I
ready?
do. Are you ready, sir?
I'm
You're locked
ready.
and loaded.
All right. What angler is credited with helping to invent the thumb bar on a baitcaster reel, and who was the manufacturer of that reel?
All right, say it again.
What angler is credited with helping to invent the thumb bar on a baitcaster reel, and who was the manufacturer of that reel?
There you go. There you go. So thumb bar on a reel. What angler was credited with that invention, and what manufacturer was the reel?
Right.
So if you think about the old ambassadors, remember that they had the button on the side. A lot of them all had. So this is the thumb bar that you actually press down with your fingers. So you guys,
Nope.
Neil Scoggins, hey, listen, he's throwing it out there.
Remember, guys, put both answers. Don't just blurt
Yeah.
out one.
Yeah, Neil nailed two, but he's just the wrong two. But good guess. Good guess. You guys, hey, work on that. Google is your friend. And again, if the answer's wrong, it's Kevin's fault because I don't have time to. He sits at home and he tries to think of the hardest questions he could ask you guys.
They come to me naturally.
They come to him naturally. So you guys keep watching that. If I missed any of your questions before, type them again. Whoa,
That's it. Tony
the
Collins.
how-to hero nailed it.
Well,
Just in front of JP.
well, hold on a second.
That's right.
On my side. Oh, whoa, Ken Burke.
Yeah, hold on.
We got.
I got
Joey Metcalf.
I got
Coming
3
in.
answers popped up roughly all in the same minute.
Yeah, they did. 906, 90, 4 of them at 906.
Okay, so let's do this. This question right here is for Joey Metcalf, Ken Burke, Tony Collum, and JP Vern outside. Okay, so just you 4 have to answer this question. Okay, this is going to be the tiebreaker. So earlier in the show, Dave said he had a special color of shaky head. Shaky head worm he likes to throw on Lake Lanier. What color was it? First one of you guys to answer that wins. First one of you answer that. What's his favorite shaky head color? He said it about 10 minutes ago. We got it out of him. So, yeah, Joey on my end.
He's trying.
He's trying.
Tony, you are so close. Type it right, dude.
We're gonna start grading you
Okay,
guys
so
on
he
spelling.
come back and corrected it.
Yeah.
Ben Pumpkin Magic, but then he said green.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, all you guys listen. I tell you what I'm gonna do. So Tony gets the $50 off, right?
Yeah.
Because I love you 4 guys that much. All of you message me your addresses. I'll send y'all a Chrome Seville. How about that for playing? So
Wow.
Tony gets the $50. He gets the $50 discount code. But all 4 of you guys, I'll send you a Chrome Seville. Actually, what they call a magic swimmer now.
Mm.
A magic swimmer. We got to do that. Not a hard swimmer, not a Seville, but a magic swimmer. So you 4 guys, I love you guys, and we'll do that. I appreciate all you guys. Good question.
Thank you.
That's a good. I did not know that.
I didn't need
But Rick Clunn's been around a long time. I imagine he's probably had his hands
He's
in
starting his 50th year this year
50
on
years.
BASS.
You think you retire after this?
No, I don't think he will.
I think he's
He's
on,
fishing next month. He's fishing his 500th bass tournament.
I know. That's crazy.
Hey, write the. Hey, okay. Let me write this down. I always forget these people. So let me write Tony, and then JP, Ken Burke. Who was the other one? There was another one. There was 4 guys. Who was the 4th one? I'm forgetting somebody.
It's at 906.
Hang on.
So Joey, Ken,
We started
Tony,
out with Joey.
and-
We got Joey Metcalf,
Joey
Ken,
Metcalf. That's
Tony,
who
and Vern, who can't spell.
Vern Kiss.
I mean, look,
Rich Clun.
Rich.
Rich
Who,
Clun.
who the hell's
Who's
Rich Clun?
Rich Clun? But again, hey, listen, all 4 of you guys, even if you know I got your address already, send it to me via messenger, Danny Pruitt, directly to Danny Pruitt. Don't do it to Fish North Georgia. Hit me directly on Facebook. I've always loved Rick Clun. All right, Brad Silvers. Let's get back to the questions right there. And again, if I missed them, type them again. Tim's doing all he can right there. What are you throwing to win a tournament on Lanier in early May without forward-facing sonar? I know what I'd throw.
Yeah.
Damn wacky
You're
worm.
gonna throw a wacky worm.
Hell yeah.
It'll catch him. Yeah.
A weightless wacky worm.
I can't do that.
And you got to have it in one particular color.
Something white. I'm mad.
Well, no, it's called monster shad. But if you talk about yours, I'll run over here and get one off the shelf and tell
All
everybody.
right,
the color.
I do like a wacky worm. Typically I'll throw, because that's going to end up being a herring spawn. Typically, still going on. I'll throw I like a glimmer blue fluke, and I like a Demiki armor shad on a drop shot. I got on that deal last year, ended up winning a tournament on it. It was unbelievable how many fish I caught on that thing in 2 days.
Really? That good?
Take a one-aught EWG owner, put that Demiki armor shad on there, throw him out there, and shake the rod. And all of a sudden, if he doesn't pick it up, swim it off, a lot of times they'll just hit it. And when he does that, just start shaking it even more, and he'll swim off.
Well, really? There you go. This is some juice. All right. So the Cinco color Yamamoto is 9S-10-9. No, shit. Sorry. Wrong number. It's 187-306W/chart. But this is what it is. So it's like that. You can't tell it with the thing, but it looks more yellowish in the camera by my hands right there, but it's not. It's a blue back heron looking. I'm telling you, a 5-inch Yamamoto, this weightless, thrown anywhere on Lake Lanier from now till all the way back again. This right here is a spot killer on Lake Lanier, that color. And so I think the way it came about was they did a special run for Tackle Warehouse, and they called it Monster Shad. It was only in Tackle Warehouse, and I don't even think they carry it anymore.
No.
And they don't carry it anymore, and I can get it. I got it through Miss Pam up at Georgia Blade when she used to be a Yamamoto dealer before she got screwed out of that by Yamamoto. That's a whole nother thing. These big corporations taking over these things.
Yeah.
That they knock the small people out. I don't like that. But this is a hell of a color right here. So again, it's 187/306W/chart. If you want to catch a spotted bass, especially on Lake Lanier, throw that color. That is the best color. I don't care what anybody says. If I had one color to fish on Lake Lanier for the rest of my life, and I know everybody says a green pumpkin or something, I would throw that.
But you throw that weightless.
100% weightless.
So that weighs not quite an eighth of an ounce.
Yeah.
Or 16th of an ounce.
I will wait. I'll throw it under a dock that I know is 40 foot deep. I will just sit there. Like Tim says, I'll eat a sandwich. I'll watch my line. But I'm telling you that right there, guys that have fished with me, Ryan can tell you that's all I throw. And it works when they're on. And when they're on bed, when you find, like you said, you go down through a little section and you start figuring out they're there, you take that thing right there and throw it, and you will whack somebody's ass.
Okay.
I promise you. 187/306W/chart. I've got to get some more 5-inch. I do not throw 4-inch.
Why don't they just put a name on it?
Because I don't know. It's the color combination. I don't know.
They do it by colors.
Yeah.
See, I don't throw a Cinco.
You don't throw a Cinco.
Not at all.
Not on that. I'll flip a Cinco. Other place I'll throw a Cinco on a Carolina rig on Chickamauga. I rarely throw a Cinco.
Surf that. I'm getting more in. I've got them ordered. I sold out of the 5s last week.
80% of what I threw.
I throw a trick worm.
Trick worm.
Wacky.
Now, see, okay. All right. So let's deviate for a second because I've always wondered about that.
Would that be a twacky?
I've tried. Now, listen, the wacky rig is
Got him.
Twacky. There he goes.
I got him.
There he goes. Put the camera on. I got him. Gonna blow it.
I'm under control.
You're under control. Look at him.
He's breathing.
Done it.
I got him.
We got you with Twacky.
Twacky.
Yeah.
I love you.
Put the name on the package.
Twacky. Ain't nobody like, hey, I'm throwing
Get
my
yours
ferry.
here at Fish North Georgia.
The
The,
twacky.
new twacky worm
twacky
coming
worm.
soon.
Get your fairy wand and your Twacky worm and go out there and catch you some spots. Anyway, damn, Kevin, I love you. I do. That's why I fit when he's sitting over here right here beside me. It is like the most calming effect.
It's like home.
It is like home. It is like me and Grandpa are sitting on the porch. That's what it is. All we need is a rocking chair.
Yeah,
But
I got one.
you got one. But I've tried to wacky rig trick worms and stuff. And it just doesn't have the same fall to me as a Senko. I just don't feel as confident. Why do you throw a trick worm over a Senko?
It's just not an open hook.
Oh, so you don't open hook it?
No,
No, I won't. I'm open hooked.
no, I'm at Gunnersville, man.
That's Gunnersville, yeah.
But I throw the same rig here. I've thrown it at Russell. I've thrown it at Clarks Hill.
And is that because just the different structure that's around what you're throwing it at?
Yeah, you skip it the way I rig it. I can skip it under a dock, and it's coming out. The hook's not exposed, so you can throw it in the middle of the parking lot, and you're gonna get it back.
Yeah, okay, here's my secret to that.
Okay.
A lot of guys use bigger hooks.
Mm-hmm.
I go with the absolute smallest hook I can possibly get away with, like even a number 1 drop shot hook.
No.
Oh, no, seriously. It's sticky. I'm telling you. Think about this. Think about, you see these pictures, whether you trout fish or not, you see these 30-inch trout that are landed with a fly that is so small you can't even see that put the line in that hook's so small. That's kind of my thinking. And I think, and I use that number 1, maybe a number 2. I don't like doing 1/0s or 2/0s. I like the 1s or 2s. And I don't use a band. Do you use a band?
No.
I don't use a band.
No.
The only time I'll use a band is if I am going to rear back and rock it, try to throw it far. But if I'm skipping docks or up close, I'm just straight hooking that, because I think almost like what you're doing, there's not a lot of hook exposed. And that's so it's kind of similar, but just different mindset.
I actually Texas rig it.
Just in the middle?
No, it's hooked through the tail, comes back, goes back through the worm, and it's skin hooked.
Oh, you're one of those guys.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work for me.
No, I take either 1 or 2/0 Nico hook from VMC makes a good one because I get the little keeper.
VMC makes great hooks.
And
that's what I use.
I put it on there and I throw it around. And I just picked up some new worms that Reaction Innovations makes. They're 8.5 inches. That's what I'm gonna start throwing up on Gunnersville. But I've caught some ginormous fish up there. 6, 7. I threw it all summer.
Try it. I'm gonna have to try that.
You're not gonna get it hung up as long as it's buried in. The only thing is, I throw it on a medium heavy action rod, just like the Demiki armor on the drop shot.
Right.
It has to be on a medium heavy.
Spinning.
Yeah.
See,
but you will lose more fish if you put it on a medium. I promise. Because the first day of the tournament, I put it on a medium, and I lost 20%. The second day I put it on a medium heavy, I caught every one of them. Because that hook point's buried. You need just enough rod to pop that hook point out. When you do that, you got him.
Okay.
But I don't want it. When I moved to Georgia, dude, they sold me those little drop shot hooks. I thought they were messing with me.
Yeah.
I literally thought that's what they sell to Louisiana people that come over here.
Oh, yeah. I bet it was like a culture shock.
I'm like, dude, you can't catch none on this.
Oh, yeah, man.
You can.
I go small.
I caught a bunch of them.
I will say, though, that using the smaller hook like I do, you do got to play them.
Yeah.
There ain't no hossing it. You got to put your drag light. You got to play them. It takes a little bit longer, and you ain't boat flipping none of them. Yep. But that's, but I think what you just said, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But also for the skipping, like that's why I go with a smaller hook too. So I cannot skip with a bait caster. I just can't do it. My brain, my hand doesn't work, but I can skip a spinning rod.
Right. When you get that light, it's just
hard.
It's more aggravating than it is anything else. Yeah. It's just easier to put it on spinning pole and go.
But I'm telling you, you go under a dock, it can be a 40 foot. Somewhere between the bottom of that dock and 40 foot down, there's a spot.
You don't think a Senko puts out more?
It's not long. It's not long enough. When the way I rig it,
6 inch.
It's not long enough. That other worm is 6.5, but it's very thin and it's limber, so it hangs. It hangs wacky. When I've tried,
you're right. The Senko doesn't hang like a trick worm.
My Senko, if you rig it like this, it's like this. So it more just kind of shimmies down.
Right.
But that other one, the way I rig it, because I put a nail weight in it. I put like a 16th or 3/32, depending on the wind. Yeah, the biggest thing is you got to put the nail weight in on the same end as the bend of the hook. Otherwise, if you set the hook, you got to flip the hook all the way in the fish's mouth.
Damn, that sounds like the FG knot of worms and stuff.
I can teach you that too.
Well,
tie it up right quick.
No, we ain't doing that. Go up. I've seen some questions that I know we've missed. Keep on going. Keep on going up. Keep on going. That's a Surf Dad. Okay, Seth from Surf Dad. Wyatt Richards. Just because I like Wyatt. Pull him up right there. He's a good kid. Do you don't know if you've already covered this, but what would you be looking for in late April on Gunnersville? Mainly post spawn?
There'll still be a few spawning fish. But
That kid's good.
Because they're
Yes.
late April, that's gonna be running around a full moon, so there's still gonna be some spawning fish up. It's not until that next full moon in May you'll get into post spawners and brim beds.
Okay, there you go. Why he can play the hell out of a banjo too and sing. He's got all kinds of talent. Good looking kid too. All right, go down to 2W fishing. All right, so here's your answer right there. Appreciate. Have you seen 2W fishing on here before?
I have not.
I have not. Now, if you've been here and I missed you, I'm sorry, but if not, appreciate you being here. Is the Magic Swimmer actually the same mold as the Seville was? The answer is no.
Mm-mm.
There is a difference in the Berkeley model and the original Sevilles. It's minute, but there is differences. If you ask anybody that throws the old one, you throw Sevilles a lot. Have you gotten that game yet?
A little bit.
So the old Sevilles swam a little bit different, and I know that when you were burning them and you stopped, I've heard a lot of guys say the old Seville will turn around backwards. Like, it'll kick back the other way. It's got so much spin, so much action to it. It kicks. That being said, a lot of guys that throw the old ones, they don't want to throw any of the new ones. But I've seen just as many fish caught, or I see fish being caught on the new ones.
I've got both. I can't. Honestly, when I throw it, I can't tell the difference.
I'm not educated enough to do that, but I know that's what gets said.
Yeah.
And I also think too, I will say this, Lanier Baits. All right. You can go check them out on their website, LJ and them. They have what they call the hard swimmer. I'll just say this, if you hold an old Seville and look at all the textures and all the grooves, and you hold up LJ's hard swimmer, it's exactly the same. If you hold up a new Magic Swimmer from Berkeley to an old Seville, it is different. So you can ask LJ and them more about how they were able to get the same mold, but it is the same. So if you're into the old stuff, they got a couple pretty good colors over there. Go check them out. Let's see. One Fish Productions I saw had a question on up. He had that, but he had one. He was asking about next week's show on the Tuesday night things. I believe it was him. And it might be on down. We might have missed it. But what for you guys that don't know, yeah, it might be on down. I thought I saw it. Yeah, it's not up there. Going back down. So next week, we're going to come out with another live podcast on Tuesday nights. This Thursday night show, the live well, will always be bass fishing, big lakes. Our guests will be those that fish big lakes, 100% that. So we're not going to change anything on Thursday nights. On Tuesday nights, we're going to cover all the other stuff. We'll be covering we'll be covering electric only fishing, kayak fishing, trout fishing, crappie, striper, everything that we don't talk about on this episode, because there is a lot more fishing to Georgia than Lake Lanier and, the big lakes like that. So we're going to be covering it. Next Tuesday night, we're going to start off with electric only fishing tournament trails. And then the one after that, I've got planned for crappie. And then again, we're going to try to get the fly fishing, the trout guys. So we want that to be a little more variety. We don't know if we're going to call it the live well yet, if we're going to change the name, because we don't, there is kind of a difference. It'll still be the same set. But that's going to start next Tuesday night. So I will have Chris Gayton, Michael Geiger, and Justin Donaldson. They're three hammers that, in Georgia that fish these electric only reservoirs that fish absolutely as good as any of these big lakes. And we're going to talk about those lakes and the trails. And then again, so that's going to start Tuesday night, and it'll be just a little bit different, but same stuff, just variety. We're going to cover it all. So, all right, after that, did I miss it? Have we caught up on questions?
There was some up at the top, I think.
That was the Magic Swimmer. Oh, lip sticker. What's up, dude? Kevin, I bet you probably caught 50 pounds a day.
Yep.
Nothing compares to the original Seville, the Generation 1. Again, Kevin's out there all the time.
Yes.
He would know. So I don't know the differences. Guys that fish all the time swear by it.
Yep.
So I will give one tip that I know we tell people is, whether it's old one or new one, we always like the feathered treble hook on the end. We always change out the rear hook.
I'm a feathered, all my top waters and stuff for summertime.
Got feathered trebles on the end.
I put a feather on the back. I usually have one with, one without.
Yeah, and the fish will tell you which one they want.
Yep.
But that's something with Sevilles we like to do a lot. Let's see. Pull up JP's right there. I thought the pop of a shorter Cinco would make a better thump than a long skinny worm. So people are still talking about this worm right here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's more about the live action looking rather than the vibration it makes.
I think so.
So what you're doing is more of a visual presentation.
Yeah, I'm just kind of hopping it up.
Yeah.
And it just kind of flutters itself back down. It actually goes head first. if it will, but it's still bent over.
Got that bent worm in there.
That's right.
The bent worm.
Now let me ask you something on that. What made you start doing that?
We did it years ago.
I was going to say the wacky worm's been around a long time.
I
That's
did.
when
I actually used to do
trick worms
it
are
years
used.
ago when Wacky first came out, and we did it on Toledo, and it was so much grass. I kept getting hung up. Actually, back then I threw it on a bait caster,
Okay.
which is actually I throw it on the same rod now. I throw a jerk bait on. It's a Falcon weightless worm rod, 6'7", and it's has just nothing but tip.
Okay. So that since you said Falcon, go back down to Dave. Going down, a little more right there. One Fish Productions. No, that was enough. He's got so many questions. Somebody asked a question.
Somebody asked about a Falcon rod.
Falcon
here
rod. I
somewhere.
saw it somewhere. Like what was the bait? They wanted to know. Oh,
Got a
Corrado.
Corrado 150 on it.
What would you put a Corrado? What kind of Falcon rod would you put a Corrado 150 on?
What's a bait caster? General purpose, 7 foot, 7.2 medium, probably for linear, 7.2 medium heavy. I throw I have a lot of the Bukus. I mean, they're cheap rods. Actually, all my spinning rods are Bukus. I like them. They're Hornado Rod
is
at
that
Academy.
Okay, all right.
They're
I find
affordable.
you don't have to go as expensive to me unless you're doing the real sensitive stuff on the bottom.
I got Falcons for those too.
Yeah, you can get away with a lesser
Quality.
I was trying to find the right word
Yeah.
on a spinning rod,
My
especially if you're throwing like underspins and stuff.
right. My underspin rod is a 7 foot. It's a number 4 power. It's the same blank as my medium action spinning rod.
Mm-hmm.
I like throwing my underspins and swim bait on a bait caster. I'm just better with that. I'd rather honestly nowadays I'd rather have a big fish on a spinning rod than a bait caster.
I would too.
Yes.
I get more play with them.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I could go get some more expensive rods, but the thing is, I've been fishing Falcon for 22 years. I've broken 3 rods in 22 years, and I can look at the numbers. I can order the rod, and I know exactly what I'm getting. No buyer's remorse. I just know what it is. And I broke 2 in one day. I was actually on the Coosa River with Dustin Connell. I slacklined a 4-pounder on a fluke, and I boat flipped high sticked another 4-pounder on a whopper plopper. I broke both of them.
Yeah.
They all break. It is.
They all. Yeah.
And the thing is, when it breaks, I cut the blank out where it has the writing on it. I send it to Falcon in an envelope, and a week or two later, with $20, they send me a brand new one.
That's good.
It's awesome.
That's
it's
good.
a great company.
That's good. I like that, and I like the fact that you've been a loyal customer to them.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Falcons that literally were one of the only real good sponsor deals I had. I was getting them at half price.
Yeah.
And I would order 20 or 30 every 2 years. All my buddies would line up to get the rest, and I'd swap out rods every couple of years, so I was getting them at half price.
There you go. That's good. That's great stuff. Lip sticker. Danny, I really like those Evolve rod sleeves. I'll be getting some more. I'm telling you guys, listen. You got
Good.
cheaper ones out there. You got, how many you got?
22.
22 of them. Kevin's got 22 of them. I got 5 of them. I'm waiting. I ordered some spinning rods. I'm waiting for some more spinning rods to get here. That is by far the best rod sleeve. And is it a little bit more expensive? Yes. But for what you get and for what you're protecting, it's worth every penny, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, and them daggum cheap ones, your eyes come through them and your baits get hung in them. And I'm not trying to pitch it because they're our sponsor. Hell, if they wasn't, I would use them. They're that good. And I do use them. So pull that one up right there. Is that the one you had next?
No,
Man, why are people?
The cursor was just on it.
I don't even know how to pronounce that. Susquehanna Fishing Tackle is Thursday 7 to 9, so I'm always late, but I'll be there Tuesday for sure. I'll pass along. Hey, yeah,
Oh yeah.
absolutely. Never heard of it. You think I pronounced that right? Susquehanna?
It's pretty darn close.
Good enough for me.
It's better than Vern's spelling.
Okay. Brad Silvers again, right there. I'm going to ask this to all of your guests. I need info on fishing alewives. What knowledge can you give me? Alewives are a cousin of a blueback heron. They look almost similar. The only thing I know that's different is alewives tend to go deeper. Like on Carter's Lake is full of alewives as opposed to bluebacks like all the other lakes. Now, I don't know if alewives are in Lanier or Allatoona, but I know they're in Carter's because the striper guys say there's so many alewives up there. They're having a hard time catching fish because the fish got hell. They're sitting there just in a buffet of alewives, but they're a cousin of the blueback, and they generally tend to go deeper where bluebacks will go higher in the water column. And if I'm wrong, you guys correct me on that, but I believe that's what I've been told by everybody. So
I wouldn't even know what one looked like.
looks like a blueback. If you've seen a blueback herring, you've pretty much seen an alewife. They're cousins. There's something in them a little bit different.
I haven't a clue either.
Yeah, that's all. That's the extent of my knowledge, and that's just from guests being on the show. So, lip sticker, pull up more man below. So he was a virgin on kiwi until today. So, yeah, I'm not even gonna read the rest. You guys can read that right there. So, how did you do? Because I know I talked to a couple guys that were heading up to Kiwi today. I think there's a skeeter tournament up there or something.
Big tournament coming up.
Big tournament on Kiwi going up there. So Kevin is up there. All right, Alex Goss said, what would you be looking for on Lanier in 2 weeks, and north or south? And I guess it depends on what you're going for.
Yeah.
Like if I were going to be largemouth fishing, I'd be north.
Yeah.
I'd be up the rivers.
Yeah, I would. About as far north as I go is across from Gainesville Marina. I would be checking those secondary points, that rock that heats up really, really nicely this time of year. Even on the south end, I mean, a lot of those fish, I think Paul said it, those fish stay shallow.
They do, yeah. There's fish that you're
and big ones.
Took 20 pounds to win the electric tournament out of Aldridge last week.
So I'm gonna, right now I'm gonna crank. I'm gonna throw a shaky head.
Yeah.
And that's going to be probably my one. I'll throw a jig. I throw a big jig.
Yeah.
Like a 5/8.
You can do that. So you're not going to pull the Stephen Bardet and throw the little spotty?
No.
You like the big, heavy jig?
This time of year, I want the big, heavy jig, and I put almost a full sweet beaver on the back for a trailer.
Oh, you got a big jig going right there.
5/8.
What do you think about that missile jig or whatever with the 10-aught hook? John Aldridge, who commented earlier, he went out and bought some. I mean, that jig lays across your entire hand and then down to your wrist with that trailer. It's almost like a swim jig.
It's like you're fishing for a Yeti.
Well, he does, though. Now, he gets on, and I won't say the lake, but he's a kayaker. And he likes to throw big swim baits, big baits, and he don't care if he catches but one fish every 5 trips. He's looking for that one big one. So it is a big fish bait.
Yeah, I think that's the dominant thing they want to do. And I know Ike and Ellie, Ish Monroe, I'm sure probably has some insight into that. He's a big fish guy, throws all that stuff. So
I saw somebody commented on the Fish North Georgia group page today that Ish did sign up for that tournament.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, no, Ish. Yeah,
I wouldn't doubt it at all.
So now I can't confirm that, but somebody said, I know Ish Monroe is coming.
Yeah.
So again, it's going
to draw some people.
But here's the thing: if you're a company and you put out a jig like that, that's targeted at a very specific audience for like very specific lakes.
Yes.
You're not going to see a lot of guys on Lanier throwing a jig with a 10-aught.
If a tackle store ordered them here,
I'm not going to.
I don't think they're going to be thrown here.
Yeah,
I'm not throwing.
Maybe in Texas, Oklahoma.
You might catch them at Guntersville on it. I mean, it's like a big. It's almost like the what's the new big, like the coal shad swim baits. And, something. It's along that lines. That kind of profile.
Yeah.
You're throwing it on a meat stick with probably 50 or 60 pound braid.
It is
to be able to drive that hook into them.
You'd have to have some backbone.
Yeah.
Tony, the how-to hero there, he said that's his struggle with rods. He said that's a huge statement that you've been with Falcon for so long.
Yeah.
One of the reasons too that, and I hate to say this, a lot of guys you see, and this is not for the average angler, but a lot of your pros, your lower level pros, or even your local hammers, they're going to throw what somebody's going to give them a sponsorship on. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
They'll switch.
Yeah.
But very rarely do you see anglers stick with one company. I mean,
Falcons had big tournaments won on. I mean, Jason Christie won the classic on it. The most expensive rod Falcons got $250-ish, and that's the high end rod. It's a Cara. And they're nice. They're a lot lighter. That's the one thing I notice. I have a lot of the Bukus, and then I have for my flipping baits, stuff like that, jigs. I usually step up and get the low rider. Okay. And I've had low riders for 20-something years.
Joey Metcalf says he's been looking for a good budget rod company that has a high quality feel. He's used Duckett and Dobbins, and they ain't bad.
They're not. They're good rods. The other thing that I will do at times, and I started doing that since I moved here, because our bass club would travel. We would be on Lanier one weekend, and then I'd go to Chickamauga.
Yeah.
All right, I don't need 15-pound test up there. You just get your feelings hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. The Falcons have a little bigger eye. So a lot of times if I'm flipping up there and I'm on a good flipping bite, I'll take 60-pound braid and tie a 8 or 10 foot, sometimes 6 foot, 20-pound fluoro leader with my FG knot, and it goes through the eye.
On a bait caster.
On a bait caster.
Yeah.
So that way, but if you get those little micro eyes,
You can't.
you almost can't do that. You hear it all day. You get cycles. You end up having to retie the knot. And it just doesn't work as well. Or hang.
Well, the Ducket rods are small eyes, right?
There, a lot of them are. Even I just looked at Jacob Wheeler's new rods. His are a little bit smaller eye. A lot of the companies have gone to those. But Falcon has maintained a pretty decent size eye, so it allows me to do that. And I do it on Lanier in topwater season. I throw 40-pound braid. I put 18 inches of 20-pound fluoro, and then I'll tie a topwater bait. And that way, and I can throw it, and it doesn't hang up.
I know a lot of guys go straight braid all the way to their top water. Or they'll go.
I don't.
You don't. That was my question. Why?
Because you know how it is. Everybody's topwater fished on Lanier that's on this thing, I promise you.
Yeah.
A lot of times, if you pull up there, and I hate to say it, you scan them, and they're there. That first cast is crucial. If they're there and they're set up right, one of them's they're going to get to fight, and one's going to eat. I found more times than not with straight braid and those baits going end over end, it'll hook that braid, and you burn a cast.
Yeah.
And once you pull them, then they get wonky. But with that big fluorocarbon, and you can do mono the same way. I usually just have a spool of 20 fluorocarbon, so I tie it. I'm moving it so fast it's not sinking anyway. It won't let it hook.
So you're doing it not so much for the visual.
I don't care about the visual.
Okay, that was my next question. Why the floor? You're saying specifically for the cast.
I'm moving it Mach 6.
They're not looking at the line.
I'm moving it so fast that they couldn't see it if they wanted to.
Okay, good point right there. Let's pull up John Aldridge's comment right there at the bottom. He's the one I was talking about that bought that big old missile bait.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 8 inches total length. 3.9 ounces with the swim bait trailer, so it's not that huge. But John, in the jig world, it's huge, man. You know it is. John likes to throw. He is a Buka guy. He loves the bull shads. He loves big swim baits. So, but an 8-inch, that jig with trailer and all is 8 inches.
That doesn't bother me. It's that 4 inches, that 4 ounces that you got to tug around. I mean, it's like throwing 2 A-rigs.
It is. John can do it though. He's built, man.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm more round than I am built.
He is built different. So that is a thing that catches. Now he's a big fish angler.
Yep.
He's specific. He's come up to the shop. He's been on the show. He don't care to catch 25 2-pound bass.
He likes skiing behind that kayak. That's what it is.
That's what it is. Yeah, and he's a kayak guy, so he's a little off centered anyway. You know the kayak guys are.
Yeah.
I love my kayak guys.
Yeah,
the kayak guys are a different breed.
Yeah. But
he goes after. He wants the biggest fish in the lake.
Yeah.
And so he's slightly off centered like that. So, so let's, we got, a few more minutes. You guys keep the questions coming like that. So I want to know the difference with you, because you fish so many lakes, but primarily your 2 lakes that you fish the most, I would say, are Gunnersville and Lanier.
Yes.
Which one's better and why?
It's hard because they're both good. Lanier, as far as catching fish, sometimes I think Lanier is a little bit easier. There's a reason, and it was part of the reason. When we bought that place, you know how it is. You're married. You got wife has certain criteria. Everything has to meet.
Yeah.
Mine was there's a reason that Swindle lives there, that Justin Lucas lives there, that all these guys moved there. Okay, and it's to be better. That's why I wanted to be there. Gunnersville changes almost every day. You can catch them in one place like there's no tomorrow. And you go back the next day and the wind shifted 30 degrees and it's like they packed their toothbrush and left town.
Really?
They move so much. And I think it has to do with the current. It's got to do, I fished out there one day with one of the guides and he said a lot of times it's the eelgrass. If it's laying a certain way, it's better than not. Some of that I've not figured out.
Right.
But like I said, they're good in there. You know, weight wise, you tend to catch more on Guntersville because you're targeting more largemouth. You know, they're catching 30-pound bags up there right now, pretty much every tournament.
Yeah.
But Lanier is just, I love Lanier I like the winter bite because when you pull up one of those ditches and it's right, you can just wail on them.
Yes.
And then you go roll in there and there's big spots move up there. And that is so much fun when you set the hook on a spinning pole and you think you're hung and all of a sudden it wiggles.
Yeah. I get it.
You know, he's over 5. That's it.
Which lake has the better topwater bite? Guntersville or Lanier?
I want to say Lanier, but I had a day on Guntersville. I caught 26 in about a 2-hour period. I won't say Lanier because this is the reason. Guntersville's got so much floating eelgrass.
Mm-hmm.
There's just days you can't throw it.
Gotcha.
Like you can't. It hits the water, it's fouled.
Yeah.
Which is why I throw that on a closed hook because you're fighting eelgrass all the time. Now Lanier, this last year I didn't fish it but once or twice. I had a decent day or two. It wasn't as good as it was 3 years ago.
That I heard a lot of guys say the topwater bite last year was off compared to what it normally is on.
I think
Lake
it was
Lanier.
20 or 21. Right, it was the June, July after Active Target was released.
Yeah.
It was stupid, and it went all the way through October, and it did it again the next year. But they said last year was a little bit off. I caught some on
I
it.
wonder if that's because the water wasn't down last year. The water started dropping down
No.
back in the boat. It wasn't down. I mean, it
Mm-mm.
wasn't
It
down
was-
during
it
the
was
summer.
full
Yeah.
bloom.
I've always used at least 7 foot of fluoroliter off my braid.
Mhm.
Is shorter or longer leader better, and why?
The way I do mine is I tie my FG, which is usually it. When I tie it, I'm tying it about the length of the rod. Okay.
Okay.
I reel it up. It goes up down the rod on the reel. I make 3 to 4 laps, and I cut it the length of the rod. Only reason I do that is when I get a big fish up against the boat, I want my knot on the reel. I do not want it sitting there rubbing on those eyes. I had one time where I had that happen before I learned that FG. I was tying a double uni and it broke
Now that's on your spinning gear.
on my spinning gear.
Yeah. Now on the bait caster, the
On a
only
bait-
time you use the fluoro is for topwater,
I throw it. Yeah,
and that's just short.
it's short. It's just enough so that bait won't hang.
Okay. What's your PB on Guntersville?
7-8.
7-8. Okay. What would you throw this weekend with all the rain Saturday? And I'm going to assume Lanier. It could be Guntersville. Either one.
Guntersville, I'm gonna be throwing a trap. That's what we've been catching them on.
Rattle trap.
Rattle trap,
All right. So if you're going to Lanier, what would you be throwing them?
jig, shaky head. If I can find some places where there's some water coming in the back of those pockets, I'm gonna go back over jerkbait.
Okay.
But I'm gonna be
You're gonna
I'm gonna be looking
you're gonna
at
be
'em.
what? What are you gonna be
I'm
doing?
gonna be looking at
You
them.
gonna be cheating?
I'm gonna be scoping.
Yeah, the blockheads will be out. So okay, yeah, Lanier. He was talking about
As long
Lanier.
as he's not fishing beds.
Yeah, as long as he's not fishing beds and all that. So, Casey Blanton wants to know: do you fish north or south of waterfront on Guntersville?
I fish both. Right now, we've been pretty much on the south end. Browns has been firing pretty good. We've been catching them. I've been catching all my fish off high spots, shallow humps, but it's been pretty close to some sort of deep water, whether it's the main river. If you got hummingbirds or Lawrence's, I run Lawrence's. I got the C-map, and I shade everything 5 foot or less in red. And you literally can. One of my best spots I actually found on our pontoon boat riding the wife and kids down to the back cave, and it's a ditch that runs off the main river, and it's got 2 big high spots on the sides, and it's just highlighted. And we've caught fish off of it the last 2 or 3 tournaments we fished.
And if you had to go there tomorrow, you'd be throwing a rattle trap on
I'm
that.
throwing a trap,
How do you work your trap?
I throw it out there, let it go, and I take this hand, I'm holding the bait caster, and I push it, and I hop it, and I spin the reel, and I hop it. And every one of them that we fished up there last Sunday, every one we caught, they bit it when the rod was at 12 o'clock. And you just reel down, get him.
So why do you take your hand and push it? Why not just flip it with your?
Because I don't want it. I don't want to snap it. I just want it to hop.
So you slow push it kind of.
Yep. It's just kind of loping back to me. That's the way they've been wanting it. I don't know. I would love to sit there and burn it and snap it, but that'd be a lot easier on me. But
Do you ever throw traps?
Yeah.
Do you do anything like that?
I'll yell you up from time to time, but most of the time I'm just a straight retrieve with a little pop every now and then.
You know what? That's one thing I've never had any confidence on.
yeah, it was good. Sunday we were just fun fishing. We had almost 19 pounds.
The neat thing about that is you can fire that thing a mile.
Yes. And I was every one of them I had to get the pliers. It was in the crushers.
Swallowing it.
It was in the crushers.
That's largemouth.
Largemouth.
Will that work on a spotted bass lake?
I would think. You ever thrown a mile or more rod?
No.
You haven't?
No.
That's a rod that'll throw a mile or more.
Good God Almighty. I thought he was saying something French or something.
I was
I'm
finna
like,
learn
what the-
something. I was ready.
thought I was going to learn something a mile or more. Damn, Kevin, listen at you. You got me again. You got me. Mark Garrett wants to know, will the ditch bite or docks be more productive for the BFL? I'm going to say this, and this is just going from what people talk about coming in the store. So this is not my personal experience. The ditch bite on Lake Lanier this year, there are fish in the ditches, but the tournament winning weights of those fish that you need are not in the ditch. Not in all of them. They're very few and far between. So last week, Rick Steckelberg said, what did he say, Tim? 51, 52. He starts looking at the docks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhere along in there.
I know a lot of fish have been caught shallow. A lot of the tournaments were one shallow. That's not saying you can't go win a tournament in a ditch. But that's just the conversations. I try to be a sponge when people come in here, because if you want to get out of fishing, own a tackle store, because you're in here selling the stuff for people to go fishing.
Right.
But anytime somebody comes in the store, I try to listen and try to get patterns, and just so when the next customer comes in, I can help them out. And almost to a man this year, everybody has said the same thing. The tournament winning fish are not in ditches.
I've caught this year, and I've only fished Lanier 4 or 5 times, 6 times. I've caught one good quality. Is actually the picture you posted. That fish came out of a ditch. The next week, that was a 555. I caught a 565, 8 foot of water on a shaky head.
Yeah.
So I'm looking right now. They're moving. They're getting ready to. They're thinking about going. I'm gonna start looking more shallow and more shallow. And the other thing is with Lanier, when I first moved here, it didn't seem like there was as many poles in the water as it is over the last few years. Like people are driving those main poles.
Yeah.
I think they're sliding up. I think a lot of those fish, I've caught a lot of them, they're spawning around the base of those poles. They're actually the docks that actually have poles. I've caught a lot of spawning fish around those poles.
Have you really? Okay.
Yes.
I would say, like, I concur with, everybody that comes in this talking pretty much is catching them shallow, 15 foot or less. And your first wave is moving up.
Yeah.
So I think if I were fishing, now that, again, the guy that wins it will probably be out over 50 foot of water demeeking, scoping and demeeking. But I would say that if it holds true that your big girls move up first, and that's generally the consensus, not scientific fact, but it's consensus that your first wave of spawners are generally your bigger girls. They're up there. They might not be spawning yet, but they're there. You might have some deep water where they could pull back off to near you. But for the most part, they're up there looking to do one or two things: feed or find a boyfriend.
Yep. Especially if it gets cloudy.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be muddy, but just a little bit off color. The more off color, the shallower I go.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
sounds true for you.
Absolutely.
Tim, what do you think? You've been quiet back there. You've been busy.
Oh, it's been keeping me busy back here.
Yeah. Look at pull up lip sticker right there. Timber or staging fish. So again, the timber is a deep guy. You
Yep.
play that deep game, you're going to be scoping or staging fish. Last week, that's what he said. He goes, know what your fish are doing. Know what your fish should be doing. Fish that. So you might have some that are deep, stay deep, but a lot of them things are staging. They're in those areas where it's a very short move to the actual bed.
Yes.
So that's a Ryan Sheffield is alive and well. some magic happened this past Sunday for me. So do tell there, Ryan. Rhino, what happened to you? Got a 5-2 today off a drop where she could easily slide up shallow, which is kind of what Kevin said last week. Know your fish, because some people are like, what do I need to do for this? Like, he goes, just think about what the fish normally do where they should be.
Right.
Which kind of, but that ditch bite, some guys have caught some big ones like that. But I know for the most part, your average anglers, they're going out there and they're catching 2-pounders.
Right.
You ain't gonna win a tournament with 2-pounders.
No.
Spinnerbait or crankbait for a moving bait?
Spinnerbait.
I tell you this, it's hard to put down the rock crawler right now and all that. It's been hot, but spinnerbait, it's about spinnerbait time.
I'm a crankbait guy.
Really?
I'm a spinnerbait guy once the herring spawn starts. That's when I start throwing spinnerbait a lot on Lanier. From then till middle of June.
Well, I know a lot of guys, especially with docks, Ryan being one of them, they'll start, and it might be a little early, but they'll start pulling that spinnerbait tight to docks and trying to get big girl, Becky, as Kaz Anderson calls her, to come up, show herself if nothing else. Buzzbait. Oh, okay, buzzbait. Which, listen, Ryan, I don't know if you watched earlier in the show. Hell, he was throwing a buzzbait with 20-degree weather and ice on the thing.
It was cold.
And caught 5. And how much weight did you have that day?
Oh, I don't know. It wasn't much. It's 12 or 13 pounds. Man,
But still, it was that
it
cold.
was that cold.
And those fish were locked on beds.
I'm where he's throwing a spinnerbait. A lot of times I'll throw like a 5-inch easy shiner.
Oh, there you go. Lipsticker dropped some knowledge there. So Ryan is having another kid.
Uh-oh.
So if that's true there, Sheffield,
Better fish quick.
listen, that's 2 times that you procreated. So that happened twice in your life now. So that's
You
good.
got 9 months to make fish all you can.
Oh, he'll figure out a way to fish even.
That tournament on West Point this past weekend was caught on a chatterbait. The guy was flipping docks with it, wasn't he?
Yep.
On chatterbait.
On a chatterbait on West Point. And there's
Yes.
not
Look
that
at
many
Ryan.
docks.
Look, Ryan put what question mark? So maybe he's not having another kid. Hey, listen, Lipsticker said it, not me. So that's why. Now Mark Garrett put really now. So I don't know if that really now is to the buzzbait comment or to the spinnerbait crankbait.
Yeah.
I know that I threw a spinnerbait not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before fishing. Actually, it was Ryan's. Oh no, Ryan said no. LOL. And Lipsticker said he said the magic happened. So, all right. Ryan's wife is not pregnant. Listen, I just go where the comments take me. Again, like
This will be off in the side comments for everybody else's entertainment.
Yeah, so it's like I say,
Keep this going until next week.
it is
Yeah.
it is the guys I hang around. It's just the guys I hang around. But yes, the buzzbait. So listen though, that's interesting though. But I had that spinnerbait and it was a perfect blowdown. And I fished with Ryan enough to know he's going to hit it with a spinnerbait. It might still be too early, but I said, I'm going to throw a spinnerbait. And I threw it right over there. It couldn't have been in 4 foot of water. It just comes through perfect. And it exploded. And I thought, there she is. Damn if it wasn't a spot.
Mhm.
In about 3-4 foot of water. And it busted a spinnerbait.
Right.
Right by a blowdown. Right where I thought the big largemouth might possibly be.
Right.
So got to go slow. So he's slow rolling spinnerbaits just enough to keep him up. So, yeah, I'll tell you what. There was another guy that fishes electric only named Keith White. And there's a little lake up here in Delonga called Yahula, about 100 acres, and you can't throw tournaments on it no more because it's too small for them. But in January, and this is how I remember it, because we actually were broadcasting at Jimbo's Expo, and it was snow flurrying outside, wind blowing about. It was miserable, about 20 mile an hour winds. He hadn't caught a fish all day. He picked up a black buzzbait and threw it and ended up winning that tournament on a day that no way he should have been throwing a buzzbait.
Yeah.
In January.
It's something about the snow. I was at Gunnersville that last time it snowed up there this year, and I was catching them on a trap in about 1 foot of water. I had to go from a 3/4 to a 1/2 ounce. It was so shallow I couldn't turn the 3/4 without it getting fouled, and they were just chewing it.
Really?
Yeah.
That happened in West Point too.
Yep.
Yeah, it was ice crystals falling.
Hey, listen, they say
And the
something
trap-
about nasty weather.
the
fires
trap-
up
I
these
think
lakes.
it's the barometer when it takes that big a plunge. We ran into that one year at Rayburn. We were fishing over there, and we had a big front hit. The boat was full of snow, and we were catching 2 at a time on a red trap.
Really?
Yes,
Just fired them
they
up.
just fired them.
What's your favorite spinnerbait?
For here, I throw the nickels, 1/2 ounce. I throw white blades till the sun comes up, and silver after the sun comes up.
Okay.
And then if I'm on the Coosa River or I'm on Clarks Hill or Gunnersville, I throw one called Delta Lures. It's a Louisiana spinnerbait. It is extremely light wire. Don't buy one, buy a bunch.
Right. Yeah.
It's got so much vibration, and I have them anywhere from 1/4 to 3/4 ounce. I'll slow roll them out there on ledges, but it just picks off a lot of vibration.
Okay.
I like it a lot.
All right. That's good. What about you?
Strike King, Terminator.
You
Especially-
always talk about that Terminator.
Especially, and I've got probably 20 left of the titanium wire. I
Yeah,
love
he
those.
he bought stock in that titanium
We
wire.
used to throw those in Venice when you get down there because every once in a while a redfish would get it, and you didn't want him to get the good ones, and it would hold up to a redfish.
The Terminator, the Strike
Mhm.
King, and all that. What about you, Tim? What's your favorite spinnerbait?
I throw a lot of booyahs, believe it or not.
Booyahs.
Booyah.
I'll throw a tornado every now and then too. You remember the old tornado
I do.
spinnerbaits with the bell?
Mm.
You still got some of them?
I still got some.
Another one up at Gunnersville, a ninja spin,
A ninja spin.
Gambler ninja spin.
Okay.
Especially that odd shape.
It's got that samurai looking
Yeah.
blade on there. Marty Stone actually won his only elite event, I think, at the Harris chain on that thing, and I bought some. And it'll clean out it. The eelgrass doesn't bog it up too much. Mike Sherman's the guy that makes those.
Perfect, though, for Gunnersville.
Yeah, it's good up there.
Okay, I got you that. Gabe Hammonds, let's see, right there. Well, pull up Robert Brett's right before that. I want to make sure I get his comment. It's critical that crankbaits run straight. Correcting it is easy. Use pliers to bend the eye of the lure in the opposite direction from the way it has been running. If it tracks to the left, turn the eye to the right. So that might be somebody in the comment section might have been talking about
Maybe so.
tuning like that. So, but I wanted to make sure I threw them out there. Robert, I appreciate you watching, bud. Now pull up Gabe. Now listen, Gabe, it doesn't matter if we answered it. If you want to know, you ask that question again. But what's y'all's take on the Lay Lake MLF tournament coming up? I say it's going to take over 130 pounds to win, or am I way off? I don't know that lake like you might.
I don't know that it will, because from what I understand, it's a 2-pound minimum, which on the Coosa River is not hard, but there's a lot of 1 to 1.5s, 1.8s in there. It's probably going to take somewhere, if I'm guessing, neighborhood of 50 to 60 a day will probably move you on.
Okay, so more than what you said, 130. So it's more.
I think it's going
You're
to
going
take.
to go
I think it's going
150,
to take.
160.
I think it's, yeah. It's for, was it 3 days of
Yeah,
4 days of
I think so.
competition?
I think so. Cody Dean, what about crankbaits for fishing shallow drop off humps going 5 to 15 feet?
I am a Rapala guy.
You throwing DTs?
I like the DTs.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the DTs.
You like 'em?
I like these.
I like them. They don't hang as bad because they're balls and they float.
You still staying with crawl colors this time of the year?
Right now, I'm throwing dark brown crawl. That's number one.
Okay. First stir of the creek. So Ryan says if you're fishing the BFL and you go all the way to the back, you'll be highly disappointed, which means when it does happen, when the girls move up, it's going to be quick. Boom. You could miss it.
It seems like the spots move really, really quick.
Yeah.
The largemouth, it seems like it takes them a little longer, but I mean, I've had places I go through on a Saturday and there's nothing, and go back on Sunday and it's like they all showed up.
Me and Ryan saw some last year. I think it was in June.
Yeah.
In June, still on the bed like that. So
I think spotted bass is just an inconvenience to them.
Yep.
I mean, really.
dang.
They get it over with.
Listen, you know what that sounds like? It sounds like my wife.
Right.
Sounds like my wife. At this point in our marriage, it's an inconvenience when Danny comes up and
It's
says,
just an
hey,
inconvenience.
it's an inconvenience. All right, guys. Well, I tell you what, hour and 58 in, the comments and the questions have been absolutely fantastic tonight. Just wondering if y'all heard that Logan Martin had a 27-pound bag this past weekend. I did not hear that, but it won't shock me.
It does not surprise me.
29 today is leading in Amistad, the NPFL. Guys, hey, listen, we got a couple of local anglers, actually quite a few that are actually in that. But Will Harkins, who's been on here a couple of times in the last few months, and Trent Palmer, who is one of our sponsors with Sonar Pros, they're in it. And I think there's a couple other guys from Georgia that are fishing it. But over the next 2 days, you guys watch that on that Fix TV, PHYX TV. The weigh-in was pretty cool. Only 26, so it doesn't take as much time for the weigh-in and all that. But support some of our local guys. But again, Dave, I appreciate you coming in. I know just in talking with you, behind the scenes over the shows when you're up here, I know you're smart and all that. So I was like, I'm really glad I got you on because you dropped some good stuff. You have guys going out trying to do that daggum trick worm, wacky worm, and all that now. And they're going to be hitting me up. How did he tie that thing? And I'm like, hell, I don't know. I'm going to give him your number.
That's right.
I'll give him your number, and you can do that.
I'll
So,
do
again, Father Time, as always,
Yes, sir.
thank you for feeding us
Thank you.
and coming up. It's always, like I said, he's
My pleasure.
He's my safety net here. When he's
That's
standing beside me, I feel good. Tim, you worked your ass off tonight, so
They
appreciate.
kept me busy back here
They
tonight.
did keep you
Right.
busy. So again, guys, hey, appreciate you watching. Again, next Tuesday, we're going to start our kind of other. Actually, what we're going to do, I wasn't going to tell anybody this, but what we're going to do is tomorrow I'm going to put out a question on the Fish North Georgia group page. The reason we're called the Live Well is because about 101 episodes ago, we put it out there and said, hey, we want to change the name of our Thursday Night Lives to an actual name. You guys responded, and that's how we got the name the Live Well. Tomorrow, I'm going to put it out. What should we name our Tuesday night show? Again, don't want it to be bass oriented. It's going to be for everything else, all the other opportunities we have in Georgia to fish. So if you guys are on the Fish North Georgia group page, be thinking about that tonight. Mark Garrett, great show. I'm addicted to watching y'all. Mark, hey, listen, we're addicted to answering your comments and questions, man. So you guys run the show. It's not me. It's the guests. The other one's dropping the knowledge. It's Tim, running the board, and it's your comments. So we appreciate you guys, and it's pretty awesome to see what you guys are doing. But the stringer, hey, listen, you got to vote tomorrow. I'm gonna put it out there. So anyway, hey, listen, if you're on the water this weekend, it's gonna be raining like crazy on Lake Lanier Saturday. So if you're out there, be safe, and listen, just be safe and enjoy the outdoors. Have a good time fishing. And for this weekend, at least on the Fish North Georgia group page, no fussing about forward-facing sonar. Let's have a just a weekend without it. That would be good. If it can happen, do you think it's possible?
It may can.
It may can. Let's make it happen. I had to kick a guy out. Two guys in. Since I got 15.4 thousand followers on that, I've had to remove two guys. Now we ain't counting the porn and the Indians that come in with the spam and all that. I had to remove a guy this past week. I actually did it yesterday because he just cannot leave it alone.
It's just
Cannot.
it's just negative.
It's negative, and we're not doing it. Great show, #1 podcast in Georgia. Man, appreciate it, Kevin. We love you too. So Mudhole University. Hey, listen, you guys vote tomorrow. Look for it on the page. So have a great weekend. Appreciate all you guys. Love you. We'll see you next time.